We're here.
Hello, we are here.
We're here. 5 minutes.
We've been doing
25 minutes early.
real good to be on time.
Didn't forget the intro tonight. You are absolutely right, Pat.
Yeah, we didn't.
You didn't see our mugs first.
Yeah, we've been good about being on time, and then Paul's like, we've been so on time. Let's go early.
Let's go 30 minutes early.
And early means 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're here now.
We're here, and we have a ton of games to talk about. 52 of them.
Yeah.
Pretty certain it's 52 of them. But yeah, there's a lot of them. We had a big month. We started off with Halloween, which
really.
I had completely forgotten about until I'm looking at the games.
I can't remember. Denise, how's it going?
Hello, Denise.
We appreciate, and first and foremost, very, very, very sorry that we have been saying Dennis this whole time.
Yes. Yes.
I think it was your wife and daughter informed us that
Kelly and Sydney, I think. Yeah.
Informed us that it was Denise, and so apologize. We will not get it wrong from this point on.
From this point on.
What's going on?
What's up, Patrick? How's it going?
Patrick.
Yes,
Denise.
Pat, and then Ken, and then Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we get all the names messed
all
up.
Of them, yeah.
Patrick.
But yeah, so we started off with Halloween, which was just a birthday celebration for me, and then BGG Con, which was just 4 days of gaming.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a lot of games, a lot of fun, and we're going to talk about all of them.
Yeah. So
and as we were setting this up, I was like, oh yeah, we did play that. Oh yeah, we did play that.
You guys are no more Pats.
Yeah, no more PAT
No more
something.
Pats of anything.
We need a Patty.
Yeah, Patty. That would really nail it in there. A Patty and a Patricia.
You were correct. Dennis, your wife left a comment on our channel and asked us to do that.
Yeah.
We apologize.
We apologize.
We were in on it. So, Dennis, thank you for being here. But now, go tell them that we did it. Yeah. And I showed it to Devin, and I was like, what do we do? He was like, we delete that comment, and we do it.
I was like, you tell her that we're doing it, and you delete the comment. Absolutely.
So it was pretty funny. It said on there, like, I hope he doesn't see this, but if y'all are up for it, that would be awesome. So
yeah, tell her. I thought that was pretty funny. So
we do appreciate you being here, Dennis.
But yeah, so Halloween, BGG. I personally didn't do too much solo gaming.
There is giggling going on.
I didn't do too much solo gaming. I'm not sure.
I did a decent amount, not too much.
This was a down month for me.
Yeah, I did a decent amount. About average, probably. I mean, my Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights are basically my solo gaming nights. Yeah, because that's when Kirsten's working. So, for the most part, I do that. So
I've been playing video games. So,
what is it? What's the game?
Bazaar.
The Bazaar, that's it.
Yeah.
Should have known.
Played some today. Yeah, it's a great game. All right, let's get over to it. Let's start with
the banger of them all.
Banana Man Goes to Work.
Banana Man Goes to Work. That got smaller.
Yeah, I'm going to swap something and we're going to look crazy.
Oh, no, there we go. Now, no, you're good.
Yeah, that's it. Bam.
There we go. Banana Man Goes to Work.
Yeah, so we played Banana Man Goes to Work. Sorry that we're starting with this one, but we are.
This was the last night of the con, and I think all of us were, I regret.
No regrets.
No
regrets. Also, what are you playing? I'm just curious. Are you enjoying the new expansion? So this is the first expansion in a very long time that I am not playing, just due to other time commitments and stuff. But Joe's been playing it, and he's been overall pretty mixed on this expansion. So I'm curious what you think of it. Boomy, it's okay. Oh, boomies. Don't talk to me anymore. Being a boomy, just get invited to all the raid spots. Get up here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, we'll get back to Banana Man Goes to Work.
Man Goes to Work. This was the last night of the con, and I think we were all pretty fried at this point. So the last kind of thing was just like, hey, let's just go to the con. Everybody pick a small box game. And
specifically a small box game
that plays under 10 minutes.
10 minutes on the side.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It says 10 minutes on the side. So this was Devin's pick.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, this was Devin's pick.
Yeah, this most certainly would have been something that was my pick. Anyway, it was actually fun for a 10-minute small box game. Let's put it that way. The idea was like, this guy, the idea, it's made for kids, right? And you're teaching kids, I think somewhere there says 4+. You're teaching kids, different professions. And so you're supposed to, the rulebook says this because I read it.
The Chinese rulebook that you had to look up on BGG for English?
Yeah, is that Chinese?
Or I think
that's Japanese.
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna say.
I don't know.
But anyway, the rulebook says you're supposed to go through each profession.
Thank you, Patrick.
Okay. You're supposed to go through each profession and like explain what it is and what it does, right? But ultimately, this is like the baker, right? That you're seeing on the cover here. And so then you flip over cards that had like their items, and it was the first to say what profession it was, and there was probably 30 professions.
And so like you had to like clarify, like everybody's in agreement, this is the baker. Everybody's in agreement, this is the teacher. Hey Kelly, good. I'm so glad that
Denise's face.
You're welcome. We did our part. Overall, it was a funny little 10-minute game.
Yeah, it was good because it was
10
midnight in 10 minutes.
So that's more than enough on Banana Man Goes to Work.
Yeah.
Between Two Castles, this one was done at Halloween. So we had 6 people come over. It was Devin, Lacey, me, Kirsten, and then Joe and Shelby. And we needed some 6-player games. And I think we only played 6-player games.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure we didn't split off at all.
Yeah.
And this is a combination of. Did the teacher have paperwork in the picture? I think. So I don't remember. They had a clipboard and like I don't remember. There was so
a
much.
lot of so they actually made it gamey for being something made for 4-year-olds. There was a lot of crossover on items.
So like the chef and the sous chef, right?
Yeah. So they both had a hat.
Yeah.
You know, but
one of them had a spatula and one had a knife.
Yeah, or had fish or something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a combination of Between Two Castles of.
No. Between Two Cities.
Between Two Cities and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. But basically, you are just drafting these tiles and you're trying to build out this castle with both of your neighbors. So you want to put these tiles next to other tiles. There's different scoring conditions, like you want the kitchens next to this type of room and you want the dungeons below or whatever it may be. But you're trying to build out 2 castles and you're going to score the worst of the 2 castles. So you're really trying to make both of them as good as you can.
And you're making them with your partners. So like if Paul and I were seated at the table like this, Paul and I are making a castle where that box is.
Yep.
And then I'm also making one over here with Lacey, and Paul's making one over there with Kirsten, and then
Joe's making one with Kirsten,
And so my score is me and Paul's castle score is 70. Me and Lacey's castle score is 66. My score is 66.
Yeah, and nobody wanted to sit next to me. I remember that because everybody's like, "No, you're going to screw it up." I did pretty well.
Yeah.
So it was great. I actually thought it was a really fun game. The way that they did it, like. It took a little bit to kind of like understand what we were doing, but it was great. I thought it was an awesome 6-player game.
I thought this was a complete banger. Let me tell you, I got this game 100% wanting to play it for the reason that I knew I was going to instantly not like it, sell it, and call it, right? That was, I have played Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and I did not like that game at all, in the slightest. So I thought for sure, there's no chance that I like this, but man, the way the player interaction worked, there was no downtime. You were whispering over here to Paul, like, oh, let's do this. We're doing a good job. And then right over here to Lacey.
And then you would tell them, like, hey, you shouldn't play this one. And then you play it immediately in your other castle.
Yeah, and then it's like, I'm right over here, Lacey, like, oh, we're doing a good job. And, and it was just so much fun. I thought this game was incredible.
And I think Joe even like said he was like he would much prefer play this than like a Seven Wonders kind of like drafting thing, and it was a terrific game.
Like it was a step up from a party game, but there was like conversation going the entire time at the table. So really enjoyed it.
Very surprised by that one. Pat doesn't even like 5 other people.
I understand.
We've got built-in 5 other people basically.
Yeah. Big Tig.
This was my 10-minute BGG end of the con game.
We're knocking out these ones. This is going to go down as I thought I could never play a more simple roll and write before.
Then what was the one?
Then Silver and Gold, Silver and. Silver and Gold. I thought Silver and Gold was for sure always going to be my most simple roll and write. You're thinking of Harvest Dice, which is
Harvest Dice.
It's many steps up from both those games. I played this and I'm like, oh no, that was the most simple roll and write I will ever play. Yeah. Literally, you draw shapes to
connect other
items, and that was it.
Devin destroyed Joe and I.
I crushed them. I don't know how. They were so far away from finishing the goals.
He just absolutely destroyed. It was a perfect 10-minute
roll and write. That was Big Dig.
Cacao. We just streamed this one last week. So that was at the end of the month, right? It was the 5th filler Friday. It was a fun game. Devin had played it before. We did not play it properly, but we got the feel for it. It's definitely one that I would play again. I think it's a...
Yeah, I made a mistake on the rules, but honestly, it's not one that like affected it in any major way.
I think, it's just like any kind of filler game. Phil Walker Harding, there's many ways to get points, and in this one you're just getting tons of points everywhere, and it always feels good to just do something. I think it played in 30 minutes maybe, if that, 20 minutes.
Probably 20.
But it was a lot of fun. I really thought it was good. I don't feel like it needs an expansion. I haven't played it enough to really determine that. But it has one, right? To add just more stuff, more points to it. But it was good. It was
more
really great.
Variability between what different tiles you see is really all you're going to get there. I think it'll go down as probably my favorite just tile placement game, right? Just it's the best of them, I think, personally, because it's so quick. It's over every turn. You're doing something, and it's going to be points. It's going to be competitive regardless because everybody is always getting points on their turn. So,
it was a fun one. Cascadero.
So Paul and I played this whenever, months ago. And we were mixed on it then, but we had a lot of like, was it because it was at 2-player, right? Because this is a game that definitely needed to be played at more players than 2. So we're like, we told Joe, like, I think I even told Joe, I'm like, I don't know if this is a good game or not. I didn't really enjoy it, but I think it might have been because it was 2-player. We played it at 3 and those feelings didn't go away. I just don't think it was a very good game. That's the best way to put it. I think it tries to do way more than it should for the fact that your only action in the game is placing something down, and that's like, it should just be placing something down and scoring, and the game probably would elevate quite a bit, but instead it's placing something down, which triggers you to move something, and you have to count spaces this way, and you have to see if this connected, and it ends up just bloating the game way too much because of all of that. So I think it should just be place, score, and go to the next person's turn, and that's it. But instead, it makes you have to think about the 50 different places you can place it, and really bogs the game down.
And I think one thing that we all agreed on, it's just those tracks, right? Like there's a ton of tracks, and it's just so easy to forget one bump, because you get this bump and then you do this other action, and then that might give you another bump and you have to physically move it. We all said like this would be a terrific game for Board Game Arena because it's going to show you exactly
automatically do it
right,
for
it's
you.
going to show you like this is the bump that you need, so you can bump it and then you can do this and do that. But like there's just, it's so many options and so many combos that are like forced in a way, right? Like you need, I don't know, it's a weird dynamic in the game, and it's one that I've wanted to like, and I just think it fell flat for us.
Yeah. So Cascadero,
tracks after tracks, it's all about keeping track of all the tracks
in that game.
Yeah, very much.
City of Kings. So I had some free time like about a week ago.
Yeah, it was last week.
I really wanted to play Tainted Grail, but I really realized that I don't have 3 weeks of free time. So that threw Tainted Grail out the window, because I wanted a narrative campaign game. That's what I wanted.
Interesting.
To do, you know,
turn of events narrative.
What do you mean?
So the fact that you like Sleeping Gods Primeval Peril, just all the reading, like.
Yeah. So the difference is, I didn't think Sleeping Gods was a great game, right? So I'm like game.
Look, Pat, Devin reads.
Yeah, I'm game first, but like I like narratives, right? Like I have a lot of narrative-based games, right? But like for me, it's the big ones, right? Like I have massive ones. Sleeping Gods, I just didn't care for the gameplay mechanics of it, right? I don't like the output randomness, right?
Yeah.
So that has a lot. That has a lot to do with it. Anyway, so I didn't want to start an entire campaign of Tainted Grail, so I had this, and I was like, you know what? I'll play the City of Kings. I open it up, and none of it is punched, and I'm like, oh god, maybe I don't want to do this. So I spent an hour and a half punching the whole thing, reading a very thick rule book. Finally getting to play, and I played 3 games kind of back to back, the intro games that basically show you the mechanics, and it's neat. It's a puzzle every game. That's the best way to put it. You are given a different something, right? So like the first game was like an attacking based game.
Taking my hoodie off.
These lights. Go ahead.
The first game was an attacking based game. The second one was a resource gathering based game. And then the third one was a building based game. And so I got to try all those, and I'm actually excited. They were very basic, so not saying you couldn't lose, but I didn't lose. So I'm excited to try more. But yeah, let's see. I'm thinking I'm the only one never getting in campaign board games. Not that I don't like them. I think no one can. Yeah, so that's a lot of my problem with campaigns at the moment in my life. I don't have time to finish them. I very much enjoy them, right? Like the Seventh Continent and Seventh Citadel should be showing up anytime, you know? I really do enjoy those games. Don't have a lot of time for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ian, thanks for asking. Family's good. We've been having a stomach bug going around, but everybody's on the up and up now. I mean, I get that with the campaigns, like for sure.
And I'm a big fantasy guy, right?
You are, for sure.
Huge into fantasy.
I mean, like Pat's saying, Devin reads. You read a ton, right?
Yeah,
like Brian, what's his name? Brandon Sanderson. Like that's like your...
Yeah, like I'm a huge fantasy nerd. I like it very much in games, but if I'm playing a game, it needs to be like I'm still a game first, right? So the game needs to be good for me to enjoy it. Otherwise, I'd rather just play a video game and get my story. Get my story that way.
Yeah, and that's how I am, right? Like I don't play the video games. You know, I get my story from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's difficult with campaign games.
Yeah, that's the problem. So that's the nice thing about this is it's a bunch of one-off little scenarios. So I don't remember. I think 12 of them, and then there's 7. They call them stories, but basically so the one-off scenarios take you an hour, and then the stories probably take you 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
And it'll walk you through a narrative story. and that's perfect, right? I can commit a 3-hour session to playing, can't commit 3 weeks.
Yeah. And that's what, luckily for me, earlier this year when I got my gaming table, right, like I had Distant Skies set up, and then I can just put something over it, put the lid over it and just play another game. So it's nice that you can have that set up at all times. You unfortunately don't have a place where you can leave it set up because we're recording stuff here weekly, right?
Yeah, so that's I've tried, right? Yeah. And it's like, on Wednesdays I'm soloing, and this, and then on, Thursdays most time we're playing family games. So yeah, it's I just don't have time to leave it set up. So speaking of story, the War Within story is really good. So for that war crack is solid. Oh, you're talking about the story for the War Within WoW. Yeah, so that's honestly, we'll go back to talking about WoW real quick. That's really what I wanted to do, because they're talking about this new 3 expansion arc of a story, right? And so I wanted to be a part of it, but ultimately I realized that if I'm saying I'm doing that, right, 3 expansions, I'm committing the next 6 years to, doing that, and I didn't have that commitment in me. So yeah, that's what I heard from Joe, that he was kind of one and done with the raid. He went through it on heroic. He said none of the bosses really stood out to him. And then he just had no interest, and then he usually is pretty heavy into Mythic Plus, but he said he just kind of hasn't been, just more of the same. So anyway, back to Clank. So we also played this for Halloween.
So this was the night before Joe and Shelby came down, so we got it in 4-player of this one. I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of deck building games and stuff like that. I actually really, really do enjoy Clank. I think it does it in such a cool and clever way, with the timer and all that, and delving down into the underground or whatever it may be. It had been, I don't know, probably years since we had played Clank.
I bet you haven't played since we
finished the campaign. Yeah, which was years ago. But man, playing it really reminded me how much I enjoy Clank and just how good of a game it is, and how snappy it is, right? Like it turns are quick. The tension builds, which is always I found that lately, like that I like that tension in a game, right? As soon as you get out from underground, timer starts and everybody needs to get out. I don't know. It was a ton of fun. Really like Clank.
Yeah, Clank is fantastic. I will always play Clank.
We played with 1 expansion, right?
What did we?
Silk.
Yeah. So we played the Silk and Gold. So I've got all the board. Well, I say that Lacey doesn't know this, but I just bought her the Mummy's Curse for Christmas, so she's about to get it here in 3 or 4 weeks. So I'll get to play Clank. I'll get to play Clank again. And then
she does love the game.
I'll officially, this is Lacey's all-time favorite game. Yeah, I just enjoy it. I honestly like that with the expansions, literally you just keep everything mixed into the deck, and you just play with whatever board you want and put out those components.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a ton of fun.
Clank's always good. It's interesting you said Clank Catacombs is just okay, because to me, I didn't really care for that draw of the build your own
the modular
as
map
you go type of thing. I'm sure it's implemented well, but I don't know. I'm alright with OG Clank. It's a good game.
Yeah, it was real good. Did you backed the campaign, right?
The new one?
The new one? No. Okay.
No, Lacey and I talked. We'll just buy it whenever it.
I think it started shipping.
Yeah, it's very, very soon. Right now,
yeah. So we played Coimbra. Coimbra is a game that Devin and I saw a while ago, a couple of years ago, because of Alma Mater, wherever that one's at. We played Alma Mater. We thought it was a terrific game. We saw Coimbra was in the same universe-ish or whatever, same designer, and we had heard that it was similar.
Same designer, same art.
Yeah. So we were just very interested in trying it out. Then realized that it's a dice worker placement game, and it was realized there was dice and controlling tracks and stuff like that, right? So it seemed like there was a lot of mechanics I would be interested in. Overall, I thought the game was good. There was nothing, amazing about Coimbra. I liked the drafting of the dice. I liked like all the cards. I thought that the way that the boards were set up were really good. Like this is phase A, B, C, D, E, whatever. Whenever you get to this phase, you trigger these cards. You get to this, you trigger this. I don't know. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah, I would say the same thing that Paul does here. I was very disappointed when we got done playing it, but then in hindsight, I really just thought it's one that age isn't super favorable for. Had I played this game when it came out, I'm going to say 5 years ago.
It was 2018,
yeah. 5 years ago, this probably would have been one of the best games I had played of that year. It would have been great. Been a lot of mechanics I hadn't seen or played before. Now, there was nothing stand out about it.
It did everything well, but yeah, there's just nothing.
So, like, at first I was just really disappointed. I'm like, oh, that was it? I think looking back, I'm like, oh no, you know what? It was actually a good game. It just was, I was expecting more from it. So.
Which is actually kind of a theme for our BGG Con this year was like, I don't know, maybe we were playing like a lot of games that we were like really looking forward to and nothing blew us out of the water.
Yeah. Dennis, Clank in Space. I have played it. So what it does different, if you have never played it, is it prevents the rush strategy of picking the first artifact and rushing up, and most likely getting people killed because of it. By making you go and open up a couple doors before you can go get an artifact. So like it basically forces you to explore some to then go get the artifact to then get out. Other than that, it's basically the same game. The reason I went all in on OG Clank was, like I said, I like fantasy. OG Clank's fantasy theme over space theme, and I will pick that any day of the week. So that's it.
Conserve Us. I have been playing this one solo quite a bit lately. This is a 2024 release, Scott Almes solo-only game where you are a fisherman and you're kind of going to work your way through this campaign through a whole year. So there's 12 scenarios. Each scenario, the winning condition is slightly different, but basically it's a bag builder. There's 4 different marine creatures in there. You're not going to use all of them every scenario. You might use 2, you might use 3. I haven't gotten any where you use all of them. But basically what you're doing is you're starting off just like as a person with 1 boat, and then you're going to have to go buy more boats. As you buy more boats, you can catch more fish. The issue with catching more fish is you might overfish, so then you have nothing in your bag anymore. If you overfish your bag, you have to add water into it, which is kind of like your
blanks.
Yeah, your blanks. But to add more fish in there, instead of catching them, you can put them back in the open ocean, and then they will spawn, and then you can get more into your bag. So it's got a really cool balance of like, should I fish this octopus now when I only need, I need to put 2 so that I can tin these 2, but I've only got 3 in the bag, or should I save them and then spawn an extra one and try to fish them out next round kind of thing. So it's got this really cool little balance of that. Overall, I find the game fairly easy on the regular difficulty. Every time I've played it, that's kind of what I've been playing it at, but I'm always hitting the harder difficulty goal. Like that's the one that I'm just always getting to kind of inadvertently. I've read up on it. A lot of people kind of have that same issue with the game, that it's just they find it fairly easy. And there's ways to modify the hardness and stuff like that. And they've actually put out some more scenarios to like harder scenarios and stuff like that. But it's a fun 30-minute, 40-minute bag builder solo only game, and I've been enjoying the little story going from January towards the end of the year, where you're just starting off as this little fisherman, and then you're building up into kind of more of an enterprise and making more money as you go. So
by December you're gonna be on the sea.
I don't know. Let's see. I'm in July right now, so we'll see here in a couple months.
What a strong progression.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's enjoyable. It's one that I like playing, but it's not if you're wanting like a challenging game, probably not the one for you. But it's enjoyable.
I think it's funny that people complain about that, because in what you describe, like, to me, that's not something I'm getting into for like this hard challenge.
Yeah.
Right. I got 1,000 games that I can do for a hard solo challenge. People just complain to complain.
Like
right?
I when you look at this, exactly, like this is just a solo only bag builder. Like that's what it is.
Who cares that you stomp through it? Like,
yeah. I think
were you having fun doing it, right? Like,
exactly.
People are going to complain though that I beat it too badly.
Yeah, I mean that's what people were saying. They were like, I destroyed the first scenario, and I was like, did I play this wrong? Like, but I don't know. I think it's fun. I mean, I've lost once or twice or something like that. Like, but it's fun. It's a fun game. I like it.
Okay. Creature Caravan.
Yeah, we played this at Halloween as well.
We did.
This was your first playthrough of it.
Yeah.
I've talked about this game. I absolutely love this game. It was my number 2 game of 2024. I just love the tableau that you build out, the way that all of the characters, all the creatures combo off each other or work with each other. I liked all the little characteristics that are in there. I don't know. Everything about this game I just absolutely love.
Yeah, and it just wasn't for me. It was too, I don't say this often, but it was too multiplayer solitaire for me. Yeah, it just wasn't one that hit any sweet notes for me. Drapolter, on the other hand, was for me. This game was the hit of the con. So we always try to bring... Night. We always try to bring a game that we're going to surprise each other with. Let's put it that way. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Last con, I brought mountains out of molehills. Was not good.
I think the first one I did, what is that game? I can't even think of it anymore.
Oh,
You Got.
You Got, which was so good. But anyway, Joe brought this Drapolter, and instantly I just laughed at him. I'm like, this is going to be so stupid.
So stupid.
Let's do it real quick.
It was right after Lisboa.
And we had a blast playing it. We kept playing it over and over in the con. You're trying to hold all these pieces, and you have to collect these bells, and you don't want to drop the bells, and you're constantly dropping your bell, and you're just laughing, and the whole table's laughing. And we played it, I think, 4 times, maybe 5 times throughout the course of the 3-4 days. And we laughed every single time. It did not miss a single time. Every time we busted it out, it was just, let me try to,
Yeah, you've got like a dice, a seashell,
it's
like
just a whole bunch of crazy
ring.
shapes, and you're trying to get them out of your hand without dropping these bells.
And like we all had like our own little meta of it. Like if we'd have like a gem in there or something, or a bell. Like for me, the worst possible outcome was that bell inside of the ring, and you had to drop the ring. Like if that was the thing on the card, I wasn't even going for it because I would lose my bell.
Yeah.
And then there was some where it was like drop every object except for this. Like you just make sure you grab it with your finger and just turn your hand over. Like
it was a blast.
So
it was so much fun. Joe did such a great job at bringing this one.
Yeah.
It was
after our heavy brain melters. It was after our stinkers. It was just like a let's play it now kind of thing. It was a terrific game.
I love you. So that was Drapolter. Okay. We played some Dwellings of Eldervale.
Eldervale.
Okay. Oh, okay. This one I had played before, Paul. This was your first play of it.
Yeah, it wasn't last BGG Con. I think it was BGG Spring of 2023.
Sure.
We had just played something. I don't remember. We had just played Deal with the Devil.
Yeah,
and my brain
Hegemony, and then we played Deal with the Devil, and Paul was like, I'm done.
I was like, I'm done.
Social
I'm going to
deduction.
play Blood on the Clock Tower. Like, my brain is destroyed. And Joe and Devin went and played this one. And as soon as we met up again for the night, they were like, that game was amazing. and I felt so left out that I hadn't gotten a chance to play it. So like every con, right, in the fall, I was like, let's play this one. Didn't have it. This last spring, let's play this one. Didn't get to play it. And then we got to play this one. And it was good. I really liked it towards the end of the game. This again, I think, was on our last night of the con. Brains were fried. Joe and Devin had played it before. They had basically known how to play the game, so when they were teaching it, some stuff was left out, which again, can't fault them for because they know how to play it.
Well, we didn't really. We made a mistake, right? Ultimately, in the entire playthrough, we were really done for the night, and we grabbed this, and me and Joe were really confident that that game was super easy. We can just play it. So we kind of just skimmed the rules and rushed trying to teach it off of memory and the things we were glancing at. And really, one, it took us longer than if we had just gone
and read the rule
book. And then two, we kept forgetting things, right? So we're like, wait, how do you do that? That doesn't seem right. And then having to go back and look. So that overall tainted the play. It would have just ultimately been better because Joe and I, we did exactly that. We just grabbed the game and read the rule book right there and had a blast playing it. We should have done that and not tried to rush it. But yeah, it was...
Yeah, I mean, overall, though, once we got the flow of the game, it legitimately was an awesome game. You've got these sweet-looking miniature monsters just out on the table, and then just chucking dice, and it's literally which dice is higher. There's really no thought going into that war or anything like that.
Yeah, highest dice.
Highest dice.
One person can beat 6.
Yes. And then it was, there was a couple parts of it that I wish were slightly different, which was the whole sideboard with the element, I think is what it was, the elements or something like that.
I think if we had remembered end game and probably explained it better,
that's true too.
It would have made more sense. But instead, we were like, "Oh, let's just get to playing," So we actually didn't quite know. We're like, end game has something to do with that. And so then when we got to it, we're like, "Oh, that's how it works." So we weren't none of us were focusing on getting points correctly.
Even with all that, though, I thought it was a terrific game. I want to try it again.
Joe was smashing us.
Joe's person was
so
just
murder raged. He was wanting to constantly fight.
His person would get knocked out, and he had to pay one hammer or something to come back in and just attack you. I don't know. I thought for me the funniest part was I did not know anything about this game except just that it looked awesome. And it was when you told me, you're like, yeah, then our people get these little hats and they turn into houses.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that makes no sense. And you're just like, yeah, that's what happens. And I was like, you're messing. You have to be. There's no game where you just turn a person into a house. Turns out that was the game. That was exactly what it was.
Exactly what you did.
So I thought that was super funny. George says, try Andromeda's Edge. We saw it there.
Yeah, it was... If there's a game like that... that's new at a BGG, you stand no chance of playing it. So they have I think they have 1 or 2 copies available to check out, and you have to just be lucky
you just have to camp there
to get there when a person's turning it in. And then the same thing with their hot games room. They have it set up, people ready to teach it, but there are always people flocking the tables, checking to see, oh, they're on round 4. Let's just hang out here for a minute, Or
people coming by and oh, you should do this and this and that.
Yeah, so we just never mess with it. And honestly, it's the worst room to play in because you have nothing but people constantly coming by and checking out all the hot games. So,
George, isn't it basically just a reskin of Dwellings of Eldervale?
Yeah, that's what I think. It's they make some tweaks, but overall it is very much the same game. So
I will say, I know all 3 of us are more fantasy based.
That's my thing. I would just rather play the one that has these big monster miniatures than
they were sweet than a giant spaceship.
Yeah. So, speaking of giant spaceships,
evacuation. We had a random Monday night. I guess I was off work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was a week
random-
of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what it was. Devin ended up texting me and said, "Hey, are you free? I'll come over. We'll do the What's New in the Collection stream." I said, "Yeah, great. We'll play some games together." So we got to try out Evacuation. This is one that we've had in the collection for quite some time now. Devin's gotten to solo it.
Paul has talked about this game for a year plus at this point.
Yeah, I've talked about it quite a bit. Suchi, he's been getting a lot of love from us lately, and this is one that we haven't tried. So Devin brought it over, taught it, and man, I really, really like this one. Like, the more I think about it, it was just so good. This is it's an engine builder. Again, I don't generally enjoy engine builders, but it's also what you were saying is a engine deconstructor.
Yeah, it's an engine deconstructor.
So you start with
the game.
Yeah, you start with a fully fleshed out planet that's producing everything, and you're going to move that planet from here to here. I saw somebody post a meme the other day. You know, the SpongeBob where it's Patrick's like, "Let's take this and move it over here."
Yeah.
And it was a picture of Evacuation. I was like, that is the perfect meme for that. But yeah, you're basically just like, I'm going to take my pink resource, whatever it is, and I'm going to put it on this one. But for certain rounds, you can only produce stuff from one planet and then other ones from other planets. Just the way that they did it was so good. And we played the race module to it. And again, going back to that tension in games, I think I was at like
it came down
7,
to the race.
right?
Yeah.
We needed 8. We were both like one away or something like that, and it was just like, this move is going to seal the deal for one of us, and you ended up getting it like right then, and it was just so good. Like, the mechanic of moving the spaceship from one planet to the other and being able to transport stuff, it was awesome.
Yeah, this was honestly, I think, the first that I can think of Vladimir Suchi game I've played. And now I've played one other since then, and like Paul said, he's been getting some love because I think they've been good games, and people obviously like him as a designer, and he has that one game a year philosophy. So just keep putting out one banger a year. We'll take it.
I mean, it goes back to, it's the action selection. I think, like, I've really come to realize, like, that's a mechanic that I thoroughly enjoy.
Absolutely.
And he is great at it.
So, Evacuation. Forges
of Ravenshire. So we got to stream this one.
Yeah.
I've played this one solo tons. I've talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, so this one was really neat. It was very neat looking, and then the play was like, oh, okay, that's what it was. It had what seemed like a lot of cool mechanics, a lot of get these resources, convert them, do all these kind of like tricky things, you know. And I'm not saying that the gameplay fell flat for me, but once I got into playing it, it very much simplified. I was just like, oh,
this is the game.
You just gather this stuff and you build this stuff, right? And it was just much more simple than it seemed like on paper. I'm not saying that is a bad thing at all. I just expected there to be a little bit more from it. I think it was fun. I think it was one I think I told Paul this. I would play this game
anytime.
absolutely anytime. But I also would not put this as a banger, right? Like, it's not a great game. It's just a good game. It's a good game that's fun to play, and I would play it anytime.
I do think your expectations going into this one are a little bit higher than what they probably should have been.
Yeah.
Because Joe really talked it up. He really enjoyed it. You asked me if you would enjoy it, and I said yes, I think you're going to enjoy it, but I don't think... Like, the decision space isn't super heavy, right? Like, the part that would make this game heavier is, like, actually converting all the stuff. Like, min-maxing everything to exactly what you need. You also don't need to do that in a game. Like, you're going to do pretty much just as well not doing that. So once you realize that, it's like, oh, this is all I have to do. So, like you said, I think it's a great game. I think it's totally fun. Like I said, I've played it solo a bunch of times. I've played multiplayer now with you, and I played it with Joe and Shelby. I think it does the dice mechanic really good. raiders mechanic, and yeah, I think it's a good game.
Yeah, the way it does dice color is pretty cool.
Critter card
Ken,
game.
it's funny you mentioned that because literally last night, Lacey and I played a game that we'll talk about next month, Haven, and I told Lacey when I was done playing it, I said, this is just an advanced version of a game Paul and I played, and I was talking about Vermint's.
Yeah. Haven is just like that?
Yeah, it's a Vermint's yokai sketch type of thing, you know. Not very good.
Not very good?
Yeah, it was a waste of time.
Another Red Raven that...
Yeah, it was that. It was yokai sketch, Vermint's, right, where you're playing cards on one side or the other. But, like, they added way too much other stuff. Now, Lacey and I still ended up having a lot of fun. I don't think the game was very good. We ended up having a lot of fun, and talking about tension, super tension. It literally came down to, so the game took, I'm going to say 30 minutes, but it came down to the last card that like we were competing against, and it was the winner of that was going to be the winner. So Lacey ended up winning it, and so her score was like 20, and my score was 12. Had I won it, my score would have been like 21, and hers would have been 14 type of thing. Like literally, it was that whoever won that card, and we both knew it, right? So going into it, so we're like, play this, and she's like, and I'm gonna play it here, and I'm like, I'm gonna play it here.
That's
like we both knew that, but it's funny you mentioned that because that was literally last night that we played that. So anyway, but yeah, Forges of Ravenshire, Fromage. Man, this game was awesome. If you watched our video, this was my number 2 game of 2024.
Yeah.
What year it is?
That's what year it is.
What year is it? This is a game that, Ken, you were. This is a game that I've said it many, many times now. I completely poo-pooed on this game. Not really because of the look, but because like when I saw what it was, I'm like, you know, for mini game, I was just like, that game is not going to be good. Everybody's talking about it because it's on this Lazy Susan thing, and has this like, everybody's saying this neat thing of, you know,
rotation
of the way it takes time for you to get your people back, you know. I was wrong. I'll just straight up admit it. I was wrong. This game was as close to a perfect game as you can get. I've also said it many times. The best part of this game was it played in 30 minutes, and I mean it when I say if this game lasted 10 more minutes, I would be saying completely different things about this game. It would have overstayed its welcome, because you're not doing anything really complicated. So I think if it lasted any bit longer, then like, okay, I'm tired of
doing the same old
this thing. But that 30 minutes was perfect. We were laughing. It's all simultaneous. Man, it was a fantastic game. And honestly, I do want to play it again.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about it is the simultaneous play. And it's the fact that if you teach this to a gamer, they're going to understand it immediately, because every single mini game is a game that you have heard of, right? It's area control, it's this, it's that, it's you know. So like, you can teach this to a gamer. Michael taught it to us in 5 minutes, right? Joe went to the restroom and Mike was like, is he going to play? We're like, oh, you're set up and you're ready to go.
So, you know, when you play a new game, it takes forever to set up games, right? It's the worst part of playing games is it takes forever.
Hey, Kelly.
This one didn't. He like, I don't know what he did. He handed us like, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours. Let me lay this out, put this in the middle.
Joe's like, I'm going to go to the restroom real quick.
And he was like, I'm ready. And
he's like, is he gonna
what?
play?
Like, he had it out in 4 minutes, and then like was able to teach us in 5 minutes.
And he was looking at the rule book as well.
Yeah,
like,
and
he was like,
he was new to the game too. Yeah. So like, it wasn't like he just was a master at like the game. He was relatively new to it too. He'd only played it a couple times. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, it's like Paul said, it's 4 simple mini games, and then your turns are simple.
Yeah.
You can only place 2 pieces of cheese each turn. One has to be in this section. One has to be in this section, and that's it.
Yeah. Your only decision is, when do I want this worker back?
Yeah, and it's done just so well. Fantastic game. Totally deserving of the hype, and I don't say that about mini games at all. So yeah, Fromage. Galaxy Truckers, on the other hand, sucked.
Yeah. I felt terrible during this playthrough, honestly. Oh, hello, Sydney.
Hello, Sydney.
Yeah, Galaxy
Hopefully you're
Truckers.
having a good time with your mom and Denise.
So this was a game Joe wanted to surprise us with. This was one. I forget what game we played right before this, but it's a real-time game where you are just preventing bad stuff from happening to you, and that's literally all you're doing. I don't even know. Like, there was no feel-good moment in this game at any point.
There was just no fun in it to me. Like, there was not a single point I ever was having fun when playing this game.
I had fun building my spaceship the first time, and then we rolled dice and all of it got destroyed, and there was absolutely nothing I could do for it. And then he said, we're going to do this for 2 more rounds. And I was like, well, I don't want to build a spaceship if it's just going to get destroyed because a 5 came out, right? Like, that just felt super bad. And then just the fact that I was like, oh, I'm in the lead. Oh, now I'm all the way in the back and there's 0 way for me to come back. Like, I don't know. There are games for, like, mitigating bad stuff, like Pandemic. You're mitigating, like, the spread of stuff. For I'm playing another one, Peacemakers, right now. Like, you're mitigating bad stuff. There's no mitigation in this one. Like, yeah, you could have blocked that asteroid that was coming in if you had a shield there.
Yeah.
But you would have no idea.
Yeah,
like,
it was just all arbitrary.
Yeah, it was. And
I just didn't have fun.
Yeah.
I can't say any more than
I looked at Joe when we
time.
were playing with it, and he was just like, should we just, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You could tell he felt bad. I don't know. It was... We played Tripolta right after this.
Yeah. That's all for Galaxy Truckers. Just wasn't fun. Ghost Blitz was one that I don't also know if it was fun. We got this like midday one day.
This was Banana Man. No, this is what happened. Okay, so Michael, the guy that taught us Fromage, we got this one day, and it was midnight when we got it, or it was when the library was closing. We were going to go play Coot and Aura, and then we were going to play this right after. We didn't end up playing this. We brought it to the room. We were going to text Michael, like, hey, let's play Fromage. As I get into the elevator, Michael's in the elevator, we start talking, and I'm holding this game. Some random guy, 50-year-old, right? Some 50-year-old guy, whatever, 60-year-old guy, I don't know. He just looks at, and it was the German version, but he just looks at it and he goes, Ghost Blitz, that game is amazing. And I'm just like, what? And he's like, that game is so good. Like, you think it's super easy, but it's actually really, like, hard and really complicated, and, like, there's some really deep strategy in it. You have to play that game. This is so awesome. And I was just like, I was literally just gonna go drop it off right now, but some random dude in the elevator is telling me this game that I have is amazing. I have to play it now. Mm-hmm. So I came back up to you and Joe, and I was, like, super hyped on Ghost Blitz.
Yeah, it was.
Because this dude was so hyped. He hyped me up so much. It did not live up to the hype.
Yeah, it was just...
it was so dummy simple. And
it was, but it was also like...
It was not a game that somebody should be...
You had to think way too hard for what it was. Yeah. Let's call it that. So that's the best way.
So there's these 5 images. There's a ghost, a rat, a chair, a blue book. And so, like, you would flip a card over, and it had either the color...
Yeah, so it would either have one of these symbols like it appears, right? Mm-hmm. So a blue book, right? And it has several things on there. So if it had the blue book, and you had these wooden pieces of all 5 of these objects. So if it had the blue book on the card, you grab the blue book. That part was simple. And if honestly the whole game was that, be thinking different things. But half the cards instead...
were like a green book.
Yeah, so they would have 2 of the objects, right? So it would be like a green chair and a blue ghost. and you had to grab whatever the object or color was not on there. So in that case, the mouse, right? Because it didn't have gray and it didn't have a mouse.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times of us just like staring at this card, like, oh no, it has a book. Oh, it's the bottle, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Yeah, you did have to think, but it just.
Yeah.
Banana Man Goes to Work did it much better. Let's put it that way. So we played.
I think we were like.
You were supposed to do the entire deck. We did. We're gonna
10
call
cards.
it 10 cards. Had 50 cards going. We're like, all right, we saw enough that game.
We saw enough of Ghost Blitz.
Yeah. Well, Paul won it. So.
I did win
Absolutely.
it. I think I was on a win streak during
I'll
this
never
point.
forget my losses.
That's true. That's true. Did you count it? You did count that one.
I count. I don't pick and choose. Remember? Hey,
I
no,
know,
Paul's
I know,
laughing
I
because
know.
Paul does pick and choose.
I
right?
don't pick and choose.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. I'm gonna air out Paul's dirty laundry. Paul started tracking stats, we'll call it a year and a half ago, right? If he comes across a game that we have played previously that he has won, he'll copy my data on it for his wins, but not like all my data for all the losses. So he definitely picks and chooses.
Not all of them. That was like one game.
So anyway, Great Western Trail.
It was the game that I'm undefeated on, Yokohama Duel. That was it.
So yeah, that's and just airing out the dirty laundry here. If this was Twitch, I'd tell you to clip it. Anyway, Great Western Trail, fantastic game.
It was awesome.
It was our first time to get to play it at 3
players in person. Yeah.
It's like every time you get to do more with this game. First time we played it was BGA, then we
Yep.
got to play it in person at 2. Now we got to play it at 3 in person. It was fantastic. I think this game is just so good. So many things you can do to get points, right? Not quite point salady, but like just so many paths that you can take, and it's cool. It's cool. I like everything about Great Western Trail.
It was a great game. I am salty about this playthrough. Very salty about it because I'm 98% sure I had the win, but I stopped doing what I was doing. Like if I would have just kept on engineering and getting the stations.
Paul had a good strategy going,
man.
and then
I
muffed
stopped.
it.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So I won. Sorry.
And it was close. It was real close.
Yeah, more than played. Great Western Trail is great. Unfortunately, I have this edition, so I don't have the solo. I do. You can kind of see it here. Have New Zealand, Argentina, whichever one it is, which does have a solo. So one day I will get that to the table.
That one should be next. That's a good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that.
There we go.
We'll do that in January.
Yeah.
There we go. Put it on there.
Did you record this? Of course I did. I did.
Of course he did.
Of course I did.
But yeah, Great Western Trail, fantastic.
Oh, that was such a good game.
Yeah.
I'm super salty about that one.
And we really played it because Joe had never played this before, and he has been talking about wanting to play it. Joe like has this goal to play all the games on BGG's top 100.
I didn't know that.
And a game like Great Western Trail is not one he could ever really play with Shelby, and so he has not ever had the chance to play it. But
yeah, it was terrific. Hallertau. This is one that even New Zealand is great. I've heard good things about New Zealand. This is one that I learned for the con. It's a UE game. Yeah, there's sheep. I loved on the Brothers Murph video where they're like most sheep. They both got UE games. I thought that was perfect. It's a resource management game where you are farming, and so you're planting stuff, and then you're sowing it, I guess. Reaping it, whatever.
Reaping.
Yeah, you're reaping what you sow. What I thought was really cool, I thought that mechanic was really cool. Like wherever you plant it in, that's how many resources you get. Then it goes down because you've used that land kind of stuff. But anyway, at the end of the rounds, you're basically trading in those resources to move your house over. I don't know exactly like what the
Yeah, now that you say that, I'm
theme
unsure of the
is.
theme of why we were moving our entire house.
yeah.
Not expanding it.
Yeah, but you're moving the house over. I don't really know the theme.
You
I
were
thought
ultimately trying to get as many resources as you possibly could throughout the round
to move your house.
to then spend them at the end of the round in restrictive ways.
Yes.
To move your house.
I thought it was a good game. Not my favorite UE, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, that's where this one, like we talked about, right? Typically, I like UE Rosenberg games. This one didn't blow me out of the water, and so my initial impression was like, I don't know how great that was. I think in hindsight, looking back, I think it was a good game. It's just not going to be one of my favorite of his. Just annoying about how cluttered the resource gets in the board. Sometimes it moves down on the wrong section. Yeah,
I think we hit it at one point, and like the whole house and like everything shifted. It was like,
yeah,
good thing I remember.
and so I told Paul this. My biggest complaint was it didn't feel like there was any real progression in the game, right? You were getting more stuff, but you were
Spending
doing
more stuff.
the same thing, right? So in the beginning of the game, you were spending one resource to move your little chips over. By the end of the game, you're spending like, we'll call it 6, I don't remember exactly,
6, yeah.
to get your house over. And the mental math to do that was pretty big. Like you had to really min-max and figure out what is the best. I need to plant this one so I get so many of this, and ultimately for doing the exact same thing you were doing in round 1. To me, the payoff wasn't worth, right? I like crunchy games quite a bit, but this one, there wasn't the payoff for the crunchiness. I was literally thinking very hard and planning, and it was moving this little thing the same amount.
And you did the exact same on the first round.
Yeah, the same amount that I moved it the first round, you know, and so
there was never that big combo action that you want, or that big action.
Yeah, that like pays
that
off for the
3 things.
Yeah.
over.
Oh, I've done all this stuff, and I've managed my resources properly and perfectly, and now I'm ching, 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 you know, and here's my big payoff. Instead, it's literally the same thing I got in the first round. And so anyway, that's why it just won't ever be one of my favorite of his, but I actually don't think in hindsight it was bad. It just wasn't great.
I think the main reason I learned this game was because Skara Brae. A lot of people were comparing Skara Brae to this one with the resources, right? Like all the resources, the conversion, the storage of it, all that kind of stuff. And I believe Shem even said that this was like a inspiration for that game. So, I can see that. I think it's a good game. It's a UE game. I like UE games. Never will be my favorite one, but it's a good game. I would play it if it was out, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would put it in there. It is probably my least favorite of all of his I have ever played, but I would still play it.
Yeah, it's still a good game.
Which says a lot about him as a designer.
Yeah, you really do need to math everything out.
Horseless Carriage. So I played this one back, we'll call
August.
it 4 months ago or so. And I thought it was completely fantastic. Honestly, I told both Joe and Paul I thought they would both very much enjoy this game, right? So we like to play Food Chain. It's another splotter, and I knew that Joe would like it from the splotter aspect, and I thought Paul would like it from the tile placement aspect, because he typically likes the polynomial tile placement stuff. Ended up being a little bit of a miss for Paul. Joe, on the other hand, did absolutely love this game. What I like, I think Food Chain probably is a better game. And Food Chain is definitely a better game. What I like about this one over Food Chain is, in both games, truthfully, somebody is going to handedly win the game. The difference in this one is you will always be able to sell cars.
You'll do something every turn.
Right, you'll always be able to sell cars, and so the difference is, I don't know the scores, but let's just call it, the person that really wins is going to have 120, and the person that, was out of it is going to have 100, right? Whereas in Food Chain, the person that really wins is going to have 600, and the other is going to have less than 100. So in this one, it's like Food Chain, you can get just totally shut out. Like, I did not get to sell a single piece of food this round. This one, you will always get to sell. It's just your car's only worth 3. Theirs are worth 4, and that over 3 rounds is enough to win the game. So that's what I really like about it over Food Chain. Although I think Food Chain probably is better, but I really enjoy the
openness
to build your own. Whatever you're building, auto shop or warehouse or factory. Thank you. That's the word. I think that's cool, right? I've never played a game that's like that where
they literally just give you like a blank square and build. Like you can put stuff anywhere.
Yeah, and so there's a chain placement, right? So there's strategy to placing things, But it's just that's what I love. Like it's like to me, it's really cool that it's like this open book of like. Wow, I can build anything I want. You don't pay for anything. The cost is once it's on your board, it's there. And if you made a mistake,
it's there.
It's there, But yeah, it was good. I mean,
looking back on it, like I did think that the tile placement aspect of it was cool. I felt like my factory was like very well done, right? Like I had technology for like everything up to like level 4 or 5, when in reality you only need like up to like level 2 for most things, right? Like, so I had all the levels that I needed. I'm just not good at the looking at the board and analyzing like what the best place to go is and like what I need to do then. So like, yeah, it was cool what I was doing on my board, but it wasn't really like helpful towards the game, right? Like even then, the ones that had those technologies, I couldn't sell them because Joe was just better at it, kind of.
Yeah, we played a weird game. I will say that the heavy technology game, and that's where I lost it. Actually, I realized I lost on turn 2. Joe went heavy into tech, and instead of me just like focusing on doing my thing, right?
You chased him.
I instead spent turn 2. Trying to fall on the tech, and that was it, right? Like those type of games, it's I should have done something.
You should have
different.
specialized in something different,
right? And then I could have. I'm not saying I would have won, but like then I would have created my own path, right? Instead, I personally set myself back around, and so then I was always back one round, right? But yeah, that was Horse's Carriage. Inventors of the South Tigers. Did I live stream this?
You soloed it.
Or did I just play?
I don't know.
I don't even know what I did. It was definitely a solo. I think I did live stream this.
You did. And Sam actually jumped onto our chat.
He did. That was awesome.
Yes,
that was incredibly awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually think I had a pretty decent score.
You had a massive workshop. I think you like filled out your workshop.
I was a couple spaces short, or one space short. Maybe not. Maybe I did fill it. I don't know. Honestly, Paul, I fill it like every time I play. Like that part's normal for me, because that's the part I enjoy the most is building out my little workshops and figuring out how to do stuff down that river. But yeah, I think the game's great. I cannot remember any super highlights of the game. I want to say it was relatively close. But I don't remember the exact details. But I think the more I play this game, the higher it will rise for me. But a lot of that is going to depend on how much more I get to play with people. All right, so the solo won't change the game for me. It's getting the opportunity to play with more people. So we'll see. If I don't get those opportunities, then
it can't rise.
It just kind of sits where it's at.
Well, this is one that. We're planning on playing again soon, relatively soon. So I'm actually itching to play this one again. So it's growing on me, I think. Islebound. This was the very last day of BGG-Con after Joe had left.
The last game.
This was the last game of BGG-Con. I heard about this game. It's another Red Raven game. They actually re-implemented it when they did Creature Caravan, so that's how I knew about it. On that last day, we were like, let's just pick something that should be fairly easy to learn. Looked it up. Rulebook was nothing, and so we just read it there and played it. It was an interesting game. It's not area control. You're these ships, right? You're these boats, and
I don't show any drop frames, Kim.
Yeah, I'm
so
not seeing anything either here.
I don't quite know.
I don't even know how to explain it. You're these boats. You have villagers just like you do in Above and Below. You have to use them for certain things. You can get pirates and sea monsters in order to conquer lands. Once you conquer those lands, you get those actions for free. I don't know. I'm not doing the game justice.
I didn't think the game was great, so it's really, I'm like having to really struggle to stand out. But basically, you have a map and you move somewhere, and that's the action you do. It's like action selection in that aspect.
It wasn't engine. That's what it was. It was an engine builder that ran way too long.
Yeah, and
I think your last whatever actions was the exact same thing.
I did the same thing for half of the game.
Yeah.
Right, generating my points. I just didn't think it was all that good, and I think my biggest complaint was going to be I could 100% see this at a 4-player count. 1 or 2 people create their engine pretty quickly based off of what they get, and the rest don't, and so they're racking up points while the others are just going around the map struggling to really like
do anything
or get anything. But yeah, it's at one point all the action spaces became completely worth this, but the 2 that I need, I go here to get this, I go here to drop it off, get the points, go here to get this, go here to drop it off, get points, and that's what I spent.
Yeah, I had a 3 action place. I would go here to rest my person, get some books, get some more books, sell them off, and get whatever, right? I don't know.
It was almost like we missed something, but I don't honestly think we did. I just don't think it was that great. Now, they do have a new version.
Yep, that's re-implementation. I think they streamlined some stuff.
I'm sure they, that's usually what happens when this kind of stuff, they fix things.
I definitely want to try it. I feel like it could be good.
My thought was like, there's nothing about this game that stood out enough for me to ever be like, I need to try that. So
I don't know. I think Red Raven is like my Garfield also. Like Garfield, I'll try anything. Red Raven, I feel like they've had some of my favorite games as well. I would like give them another shot. But I don't know.
Man,
I don't know.
For me, they're such a hit or miss, right? So, like, the 3 games I got sitting right here, I think all 3 are fantastic. Some of the best games I ever played. And then I've played
Haven, Rome,
and then I played Rome, and then I played Haven.
Sleeping Gods.
Yeah, Sleeping Gods, I'm not at all ever saying is a bad game. It's not a Devon game, right? So I won't knock that one. But those other 3, I think, are really stinker games.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who did this one. I guess Ryan Lockett did.
He does everything.
Well, Haven is not him.
Oh, really?
The artwork is him, but the game is not him.
Ah, interesting.
So
I didn't know that.
And I don't know about Rome, but so I was gonna say maybe that stuff, but this one looks like he's on the box, so it's definitely him.
I don't know. Yeah, it's one that I think I'll give it another shot. This is the first Kinfire Delve game. I've talked about this for months now. This was my number 4 game of 2024. This one actually came out in 2023. I don't know. It's like I mentioned in that video, like when I first played this game, I didn't think I was going to like it. Like I got trounced the first couple times I played it. But something just kept on coming back to it, bringing me back, and I just really, really like the hand management of it, where you have 7 or 8 cards, depending who you're playing with or if you're playing solo. The fact now that I have all 3 boxes, there's 6 different characters, and you can mix and match them. Each character has like a different way to play the game. Some people really work on that mitigation. Some people will add, a lot of damage to your attacks. But just the fact that there's like 4 different challenges that come out, and those challenges will change the board state dramatically. Like if one comes out and there's another one that's matching it, like basically, you could add 3 more progress onto everything else or something like that. That ale looks delicious.
Kombucha. It is a good one. GTS, so it's the expensive one.
You're not making your own anymore?
No. It is too much of a process that I have time for, right? Because the biggest issue is the first half of it, so the first 2 weeks just sits in the dark. That part's easy. It's once you bottle it, if you want flavors, you have to burp the thing at a minimum of like every 2 days. And the more flavor you want,
The more you burp
the
it.
more you're gonna have to, because you put more blueberries in it, right? And the amount of times that I've had to clean up strawberry off of my ceiling because as soon as I open the thing, it just ejects up. I'm like, I don't have time to mess
Done
with
with
it,
that.
right? Like and the thing is, you want to make a full batch, so I have to do like 15 bottles. So I'm like burping 15 bottles at a time. I really do want to do it again because then I had it every day and it was cheap, right? As cheap as a bag of tea cost, but no, not making it right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Campfire Delve.
Campfire Delve. It's a terrific game. If you're into any type of solo only games or dungeon crawler games or boss battler kind of games, puzzly kind of stuff, definitely check it out. It's really, really good. I've really enjoyed it.
Kutna Aura. So Paul and I obviously played it a month or two ago. We really enjoyed it then. Told Joe, I think you'll really like this game because it's an economic-based game.
Joe really likes games where you react to stuff on the board. He likes reactionary games.
Yeah, or the board stays constantly changing.
Yes.
Right. And this one does that. And he did. He thought it was fantastic. I did too.
I think it was a little bit, not a miss for. We finished at 2 a.m. Right. We started at midnight. Right.
That part was hard. And then what he did not enjoy was he would have much rather the game been pure economic, where I'm trying to make the most money, right? And if it had been all about let me be the biggest money, this would have been a 10 out of 10 game for him. What he didn't like was it's really not about that at all. It's about
getting the most points.
And
True Euro.
having to manipulate the scoring conditions, and so then he's basically out of it.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't basically out of it, but once he realized, oh, that happens. And
He was having a ton of fun selling his stuff. and
yeah, he was
making
having
the money.
a ton of fun doing the economic thing, right? And then Devin steps in and he starts scoring a lot of points, and Joe realizes, oh crap, I'm not actually gonna
Yeah,
win.
I mean,
win this
honestly,
game.
when I think I doubled my income, and I was like 160 whatever they were, and I was like, this is amazing. And then you were like, none of that counts. I was like,
okay.
I forgot.
Yeah. I was like, all right.
Like I was in Joe's mindset where I was like, I've got this in the bag. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh.
And Devin's over here playing the
Yeah.
game.
It's like, that's right.
So the first round that we could actually have scoring, right? I scored a bunch, and they were both like, "Oh crap!"
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great.
It's a great game. I
I'll
really
say
like it.
what I really enjoyed about the 3-player was, so in 2-player there's 6 different buildings or commodities, and each player's in control of 3. In 2-player, you share one with each of your neighbors, then you have one that you're in control of. And I just really thought that was a clever way of handling the 6, and it did matter. And
Yeah, and
it
you're
was a lot of
absolutely
fun.
right. Like Joe and I were the or people, I think, and we just kept screwing each other with it, or I was screwing myself with it.
Paul was not
Yeah, I
realizing
messed up what I was doing.
What he was doing was devaluing
my
his
own money.
but making Joe's more.
what it was. Yeah.
And I was like, Paul, what are you doing? Like I kept saying that in the game. I'm like, Paul, what are you doing? Like,
I know you've told me so. If it moves this way, it goes down. I was like, yeah, but I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
what
I was
always triggers my mind is I'm
like-
doing something.
and, I'm like, you don't want to be doing that, Paul. Like you're literally making your stuff worse and Joe's stuff better.
But in my head, I was like, no, he's about to make it better for me, and he never did.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
him, I guess
It's not the
I
way
had
that
this-
it works.
I had this unwritten thing that him and I were going to help each other.
You thought you and him were like doing the same thing. You were doing the exact same thing. That same thing benefited Joe, did not benefit Paul. Anyway, but yeah, Kunora, great game.
It was great. It was awesome.
Lacrimosa.
First game, our first 3-player game of the con.
First 3 play. That is a true statement. Yeah.
The first game that all 3 of us got to play.
So this is a game Paul has been talking about for way too long.
Yeah, I think 2 years now. I think came out. I don't know. I am very big into music. Music is something that I've always been into. And so seeing this kind of like musical themed game, I thought that was super interesting. Devere, they've been putting out some great games for a while. So this is just one that always just kind of caught my attention. So I ended up learning it, actually taught it.
Yeah, you did.
I thought
good.
I did a pretty decent
you did
teach.
pretty good teach.
I know that Joe was like musically inclined also, like he kind of would like that. It had some...
And real quick, Devin is not musically inclined.
Devin is not.
And before the game started, I said, I'm going to trounce both y'all at a game that I know nothing about. And I did.
And it's true. Yeah. Very true. But yeah, it was interesting. I really like the action selection mechanic of it, right? Like picking which side of the card you want, slotting it in your board, and then slotting the bottom part being whatever resource you get. I thought that was really cool. There was some other parts of it that it just felt like there was too much kind of added on, like the movement in the middle. It was fine. And then realizing way too late that the bottom is like the whole area control where you're placing your music notes and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. Looking back on it, it's a good game. I think it would have been a great game kind of then, but we've just played so many great games that nothing really stood out about it.
Yeah, that's
it had
where
a
it
really
fell for
cool
me.
mechanics, but
It was a solid Euro,
yeah.
but that was it, right? It was solid Euro, had Euro mechanics. I wasn't like overly impressed with the action selection system as Paul was. Like, I thought it was cool, but it wasn't like super
The last round was really interesting because it was like, I'm just grabbing the one with the most points, right? Like, put them at the bottom.
when you're buying cards for the
yeah.
last round. So you think though, like, it was like, I don't think Joe really did that in the last round. Maybe he did it once, but like whoever, if you are going heavy into getting the cards that built cards, that was your payoff. Is the last round you're just going to be able to buy this
all the
stuff
points.
for points, right? I thought it had neat things, very kind of point salady. It was just, but overall I think it was just kind of a solid Euro. Another one that I would say I would play it again, but like I would never be the one to choose, let's go play Lacrimosa.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of other Euros that I do think stand out a bit more.
Board Didn't Play, did you back Luthier? Because that is one that is definitely on my radar. I didn't end up backing it, but it looks very sweet. I'm just hoping, I very much enjoyed Distilled. I thought Distilled is an amazing game. This one looks like a lot. Like there's a lot on that board. I'm just hoping it's not like overdone.
I watched a couple of playthroughs. I thought it honestly seemed pretty
straightforward.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, that's
nothing about it. I honestly compared a lot to this, and that it doesn't like
stand out.
There's no mechanic in it that I think blows me away. It has a very...
I think it's cool, like the worker placement spots, I guess, where it's like the disc is upside down and it's whatever value you are or something like that.
Yeah,
right? Like
so
that's
you're
who
like...
goes first.
You're like, it's kind of, I guess, what was that? Not area
Fractured
control,
Sky.
but yeah, Fractured Sky, where you're bidding for your turn order in that specific
I thought
area.
that was,
which is a cool mechanic whenever they do that, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I honestly think it'd be a really fun game.
Yeah, I'm super interested in trying that one. Like
Yeah.
I said, Distilled for me is... The reason I like Distilled so much is because it is so thematic. Like, the theme just blends in there perfectly for me. Like, it's exactly what you're doing. I've talked about it before with, like, viticulture. Even though I don't really... That's not a top game for me, I think the theme integration in that is perfect. Like, I will never forget how to play that game, and I feel the same way about Distilled. And I'm wondering if they were able to implement the theme as well in Luthier, or whatever it's called. I'm not sure how they would, but I'm like...
Yeah, I think you're making instruments,
yes.
right?
Fixing them. I think that's what a luthier is.
Or fixing them, and then you have like people that you're attempting to appease that wants this flute.
That like
or
you have to like
whatnot.
pay every round or something.
And then
'cause
you
they're
you can perform with them. I think you have to both make them, and then you have to like perform with them and whatnot, and you can get chair spots. I don't know. I think it's going to be another one that I know nothing about the theme, and I will trounce both you and Joe at. And Joe wasn't banned for ever, so
that's not a surprise.
So anyway, Lacrimosa.
I was a second chair trumpet for most of middle school, and then I stopped caring, and then I played my bass. And
I don't know what that means. I'll still beat you at Lithia.
Second chair, good band. Went to last chair, bad band when I started playing bass. Libertalia, Winds of Gale Crest, another Halloween game, another 6-player game.
Yeah.
I like this game, not with my wife.
Understand. So you have to know Kirsten. Kirsten is an aggressive gamer.
Cutthroat.
That's the best. Like, she loves games that are high conflict, direct conflict. Nobody else in our group is that way, by the way. Kirsten is the only one, but that she loves it.
Yeah. You don't want to sit next to her at Seven Wonders.
Yeah, absolutely not. If you put out one single red, because you had to. Your last cards were nothing but red. You put it out, you have declared war for rest of the night with Kirsten.
And not even the rest of the night.
And that
for
game,
eternity.
That game, she is going to then take every single red card. She doesn't care about her score. Yeah. You have thrown that out the window. Yeah. You took her to war, and she is going to just war
take you to war
all the way. So that's Kirsten. So when it comes to a game like Libertalia, where you can, kill people out of the round. Kirsten's, of course, like going for that every chance.
And going for me.
So Kirsten is a bit of a
wild card.
Vengeful spouse is what I was going to say. Where
only in board games.
If you don't cross her, the target will always be Paul, right? So you just don't cross Kirsten, and she'll destroy Paul's game.
Yeah.
And maybe hers in the process of
Very
that.
True.
So anyway, Libertalia, I think I've thought every time we played it, it has been fun and fantastic. I think the mechanic of everybody having the same hand of cards, everybody is literally mumbling to themselves, man, these cards suck, right? And then you're like, oh, but everybody has these, and then figuring out the ways to make it work. I think it's pretty cool.
It's really interesting.
I thought it worked really well at
6. We played it at 6. Yeah.
I thought we played it at
3 and 6. Yeah.
And 4, right?
Yeah, I think that would be
queen.
Kirsten for sure. So she's like hella. That's a yes. Great way to put it.
Yeah. I thought it was good. So
yeah, it's a really interesting because like every time we've played it, I'm just like, we're all gonna do the same thing, like, and you don't. You just don't.
Somebody sees it differently than you.
Yeah.
That hand of cards, right? Somebody, and then by the second round, you hold over, I think, one card, maybe two. So by the second round, there's a slight difference, but then by the third round, you've forgotten that.
You still have that card?
Yeah, that card from the first round, and they didn't forget, and they played it, and you're like, oh no.
Like, this is a much better time to play that card.
And just the, not tension in the same aspect that you've been talking about recently, but there is still that tension of, man, I really want to go first. I know they've played their 38, whatever, and I don't think it'd be advantagegeous for Paul too, and I'm going to do this, and it's like, oh, Shelby.
Why would you play a 38 right now? It doesn't help you the same way it helps me.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just think it's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Lisboa. So, this, we've been cycling through all the Lacerdas at each BGG, and last one we did was the Gallerist.
Before that was Weather Machine.
We were like, when we played Weather Machine, we're like, we're going to do Gallerist and Lisboa, because those are those two that Joe has that he actually likes. And so we tried that. This one for me is still in the, I don't know. And that doesn't mean That doesn't mean it's bad, or of course it's not bad. Nobody's gonna call Lisboa bad, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. And that doesn't mean I like it. It means I don't really know. I did not know what I was doing for over 75% of this game, and that's how I felt. So I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't understand. So then once we got to final scoring, and I saw how the points were actually calculated, a lot of things clicked, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so I think I honestly think I probably would very much enjoy playing this game again. Now understanding final scoring, understanding what, I ended up winning the game, and I did not know what I was doing for 75%, right? My actions were doing stuff to get points, but I could not physically see how that was happening, right? Like, I didn't know how I was getting the points from the things I was doing. So I don't know. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah,
I do not know.
I thought the game was terrific. Honestly, for me right now, Weather Machine, then Lisboa. Like, Lisboa to me, probably about the first, 30% of the game, trying to figure everything out. But I was able to lock in gold pretty early on. Like, that was my resource that I was getting, and I was able to hammer it pretty good. I was loaded with cash. I was and then I got a little church upgrade, I think is what it's called, or something, or cathedral, some rule breaker that let me paid with gold instead of influence, right? So I was able to basically do whatever I needed to at that point. I do recognize I messed up at some of my buildings. Like, I should have definitely done a little bit more in a couple other areas. So it is one that I want to play again, because I do think that I would do better on it the second play. But yeah, I thought it was a great one. And honestly, like, a lot of his games, there are very rule heavy. They're very heavy games in general. But like, this one had a decent flow to it. Like, it made sense what you were doing, which is what I liked about Weather Machine also. Like, it just had a do this, do this, do this, and that's kind of what I enjoyed about it. So I thought Lisboa was terrific. Definitely played again.
Yeah, I think we talked about potentially doing an Ardmore trip to play it while we still remember the rules, right? So yeah, Lisboa. Lord of the Rings Duel got this in right toward the end of the month, so I happened
Black
Friday. Day before Thanksgiving, there's a big board game store by us that does a buy two get one free. I needed to buy some games for my BG Secret Santa, so I went there to buy those. Bought a couple other things and ended up getting Lord of the Rings Duel because they had it there. So I got to play it over Thanksgiving, and it was great because I played it with Derek in Denver, and they are not gamers, right? They've not played Seven Wonders Duel, right? And
I'm assuming they're Lord of the Rings fans as well.
Derek is. Okay. Denver's never seen any of it, right? Because he's too young.
Yes,
but
that's why.
Denver... but Derek is a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan, and so he was like, "Yeah, I'll play it." Denver's down to play games, right? And so it was great because I literally just sat like
you're the mediator.
Yeah, we played in the corner, right? And I got to play both sides, right? So like I got to explain, I explained the rules, and that I will realize is the biggest perk of even Seven Wonders Duel or this. Dummy easy, right? Like. Dummy easy to explain to people that do not play games regularly. And so I explained it to them, and away they went, and I got to kind of be like, oh, no, you should probably do this, right? And then I got to play the other side and be like, well, you should probably do this. Man, it came down to the end. So Denver had, he had 4 of the 6 races, but he had the wild card race, right? Oh, okay. So he only needed 1 more race token, and it was available in the 6th round. Derek was very close to taking over the entire map, and so it was like this, oh, what's going to happen here? And Derek ended up getting in on the map and winning that way, but it could have been like 2 more turns, and Denver would have got it. Been able to manipulate getting the last token he needed.
Yeah, and we ended up playing this one. I want to say it was last week or maybe a week. Yeah, something like that. Seven Wonders Duel, one of my favorite games of all time. It's one that actually Kirsten and I will play all the time because if I'm just playing with her, like that is a conflict game, right? So you're gonna be hate drafting, you're gonna be trying to beat them by war, by whatever, right? So when this one came out, it's been going around. This Seven Wonders killer, this, that, whatever. So wanted to give it a try. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I've never seen any of the stuff, anything like that. But man, like in Seven Wonders Duel, we were talking about it. It basically is always going to come down to the victory points. Like you just have to barely mitigate the war track. You have to mitigate the science tokens, which are a little bit harder to get, I feel like, in Seven Wonders Duel. But once you do that, like then it's just who has the most victory points. And if you get the green token that lets you pay 2 less resources for blue cards, you're golden. Like you are going to get them
every time. The person that gets that wins the game.
Yes. This one, it removes the victory points, and the blue cards are now the Corruption of the Ring track or whatever it is.
The chase for the ring.
Chase for the ring, yeah.
You know.
But I don't know. Our game, it came down to, I think you were 2 spaces away from the ring. I was in 6 of the 7 areas for the fight of Middle Earth, and there was one card out there that was like, I need that card. That is the card that I need. And you told me afterwards, you were like, oh yeah, I was gonna do something else, and then I recognized Paul wins if he gets this card. So it basically went from me like
being almost
98% chance of winning to like dropped immediately to like having to just scramble and trying to force Devin to not win the game. But man, that was just it was a great feeling. And honestly, I've been thinking about this game since we played it. Like I was honestly considering like, should I buy this one? Like I think this would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was awesome game.
It was fantastic. Ken, you should check it out. What Lord of the Rings game are you talking about? Because I know they have
There's a lot.
I know they have War of the Ring, but I'm curious exactly which one you are mentioning.
Maybe it's the next one.
It's probably not the next one, but we will go to the next one, and it is the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring deck building game.
This would have been the longest
That would have been
name.
the one for the longest title, for sure, because that is the entire
Yes.
title of it. So, funny thing, Joe just grabbed this to be a filler for me and him while Paul had to quickly learn
Windmill Valley.
Once he laid it out, you're talking about not the living card game, Lord of the Rings, the card game. I haven't, because I have Marvel Champions. I'm not going to I have wanted to, for sure, play it, but at this point also it's like, how the heck do you enter it? Because it's got probably 50 plus, deck sets and expansions and whatnot. And I mean, I really think the way that Fantasy Flight does those is fantastic, right? They're little cycles and you buy a set and then you just get the add-on stuff. But I just haven't entered that. I stick with Marvel Champions. But anyway, back to Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the deck building game. Joe lays this out, and right away I'm like, I know this game. I had looked at this game, we'll call it 10 plus years ago when it actually came out. And it's just it's a deck building game. And this is, I think I told Paul afterwards, this is the most simple deck building game I have ever played. There is one resource for everything, and it's power, right? You want to recruit an ally, you use power. You want to defeat an enemy, you use power. You want to get a location, you use power. You want to get an artifact, you use power. It's one resource. All your cards generate power, and that's what you use to get the cards, defeat the enemy. It's just power. So it is the most funny because of that. And also because of that, there is there's virtually no card elimination or thinning your deck or trashing cards. So by the end of it, Joe and I each have this monster of a deck,
decks that I build in deck builders.
Yeah, that do not mesh well together at all. And the thing is, you can't avoid it because you're having to get those cards because that's the victory points of it, And talking about victory points, this was of the era that all of these games came out that like they're really a co-op, but they thought like back then it wasn't like there wasn't co-op-y things, you know. So they all had to add victory points, right? You have Legendary that does it, and this that does it. And I'm pretty sure DC Deck Building does it, right? Where you're basically playing, you're trying to both do the same thing, defeat, you know, the evil forces, but of course they have to add a little bit of victory points. So
Whoever
now
did it better won.
yeah, it's you calculate points at the end for no reason whatsoever. Instead of just like, oh,
you both won.
Yeah, let's try and do it. It's but who has the most points? And so
Who has the most power?
But last thing I'm going to say about it. I got to experience what Joe is looking for in a game with this game. So we had a moment where a card comes out and it says discard discard any artifacts in your hand, right? And I was playing Legolas and Joe was playing Gimli. And I just so happened to, in my monster of a deck, I just so happened to have Legolas's bow, right? And I'm like, my bow. And Joe goes, and my axe! And he's holding Gimli's axe. And like, it was just, we both just died laughing. And it was completely fun and silly. And I'm like, that is the gameplay moments that Joe was looking for, right? Like, we could play that game 100 times and that outcome would never, ever happen again, right? That I just happen to be holding the bow and he's holding the axe and we get to recreate this movie moment that the Destroy Artifact card comes out at that time. And yeah, it was silly fun. And I'm sure... you know, this was just the Fellowship of the Rings, and they have the Two Towers and the Return of the King. So Joe and I will probably be playing those.
While I learn the next game.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was way too much for the simple deck building game that was.
Macau. I don't remember which one this was.
Yep. So Macau is
this is the card
very
one.
Older Steffenfeld game.
That's
I want
right.
to say like 2004, something like that. Where I'm not going to explain the game, but the big mechanic of the game is you have this compass rose or wheel, right? And every round you roll 5 dice or 6 dice, and they all have colors, and whatever the pip value is of the color, you put that amount of resources in that section of the wheel, and that is how many turns away you get it. So if you pick blue resource, you put 5 blue pips, basically that you're going to get 5 turns away. But the trick is like, you need something for the stuff that's 1 turn away or 2 turns away. So you have to balance out like getting the like, oh, I'm only going to take 1 pip and put it here because I need a gray for very next turn type of thing. I thought it was really cool. I think this is one that you really have to look. You have to put on your
2004 glasses.
Yeah, your 2004 glasses.
Your Happy New Year 2000s, 200s.
And look at it from that aspect. And I think when that came out, the game was probably one of the best games there was. It was completely fantastic. You would really know there were cards around, plus deck cards. They interacted strongly. You would know that. And from our aspect, it's like it was just another game because they have mechanics. But I have not seen that little wheel. Kind of delayed resource like wheel type of thing before, and I thought that was fantastic. And when I read the rules, I thought, man, that's going to be fun, and I think it was. It was really a neat thing for sure.
Yeah, looking back on this one I think gets better with more plays. Because you know those cards and you know how the cards works. We went into this one not going over every single card because it is going to take another 30 minutes to go over all 40 cards or whatever.
You play, I think it was 12 rounds. I'm not 100% on that, but we'll call it 12 rounds. And every round has 2 cards, and those cards are open information from the beginning of the game. So in theory, you actually see that in 4 turns, this card is available. And so you can plan for that from turn 1, right? Oh, I'm going to put resources in my turn 4 pile because I want that, right? And Paul's looking at a card on turn 3, and Joe's looking at one on turn 6, right? And like, you're building for that. We knew that would bog down the game way too much. It would, right? Especially for a person like me, because I'm going to really think about, oh, what could I do 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, right? So we're like, look, we're just gonna put the cards out there at the start of the round, and we'll draft them and pick them then. And I think that did significantly work for what we wanted to, which was just experience the game. But yeah, I think if we were to like play it back to back or play it another play, everybody's gonna be doing that. They're gonna be seeing, oh, okay, I'm gonna use this card because it's with blue, because it basically they all function off the color of resources, right? So it's like, oh, I'm gonna get that card in 2 rounds that does the green stuff because I'm holding this with green and I can do cool things. But yeah, other than that, it was your
very basic
collect cubes and spend them for resources, and that was it. Nothing, no pomp and circumstance with that.
Yeah, and then same with this.
Yeah,
Madeira. Actually, this one.
Yeah, this one
was
really neat.
Another dice placement game.
Yeah, so with pit values 1 through 3.
That's right. And pirates.
And pirates.
And a lot of wood.
Because you're off the Isles of Portugal.
There you go. Go into your Wikipedia studies and remember.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, so there's a lot to this game. I'm not going to explain it all, but basically there was like 5 locations, and there was 2 phases that you really were like playing out and deciding when you were doing stuff, right? So you had your placement of things, which dictated the action you were doing right then and there, and you just did that. But then after everybody's done their actions, we actually resolve all the locations. So there was like this decision of not just I want to do that action, but where do I want to do the second phase action.
And the locations moved from round to round. Yeah, the first action moved from round to round.
Yep. And yeah, there was pirates, and so you could sabotage people's areas. But pirates weren't like straight up bad. Sometimes it was really, you just didn't want the most pirates, right? You were inevitably going to get pirates. You just didn't want the most of them. Another game I thought really good. Probably much better in I think this was 2013 or 15 or something like that. Actually, I watched a video of Paul Grogan, and I can't remember what year it was. I'm going to say 13. I'm probably wrong on that, right? And he was doing the video in like 2015, and he was like, this is my favorite game of 2013, 2014, and so far 2015, right? He's like, nothing's past it yet.
Wow.
But yeah, it's I thought it was just I thought it was good. I just it didn't have any like standout mechanics. I
thought both this and Macau, like you said, they would have been great at their time. I think Macau's little wheel thing was awesome. I thought the locations on this one, like actually switching places and changing that second action for you, I thought that was really cool. And then the fact that like your workers were kind of this closed economy of like you can pretty much move them anywhere, right? Like as long as they're on the board, you can bring new ones in, you can move them from place to place. Like I thought that was really cool. I thought that was, probably super innovative at the time, right? And I don't know, just for now, there's just plenty of other Euros that do it better. And
yeah, it was worth a play, right?
But that game Macau was re-implemented as, I think it's Amsterdam.
Yeah,
I think is what it was. Yeah, so it's Amsterdam, and it's just another Sevenfeld game. They streamlined it, but it's the same game. So if you've played Macau, or if you've played Amsterdam, it's Macau.
Yeah.
So. We streamed this one.
We did. Paul got the chance to play Marvel.
Yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Right after the game, I had said, this is definitely one that I will pick up in the next couple of years to play with Lola. Right now, she's super into Spider-Man. I will get a Spider-Man box so that she can be Ghost Spider, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's who you want to be. That's who you will be, and we will fight Goblin, right? We'll fight Gobby.
Yeah. And
super easy to play.
The boxes are cheap, right? I don't know, $20, 25. I haven't really looked at what the retail is.
In 2 more years, it can be even cheaper.
Yeah, so like, in 2 years when she really loves whatever Captain America, it's like, oh, just get the one that's Captain America themed,
We went to,
or whatever the case is.
Yeah, and just go from there. And I thought that timeline was like super cool. How you could use that
it's a neat idea.
Yeah, we went to our local board game shop there in town, and they had like just these little mystery back boxes or whatever. So like one was Spidey or whatever, or one was Marvel. All she saw was Spider-Man. Like she just saw Spider-Man on it. She was like, "That's what I want. I'm gonna get Spider-Man." That's not how it works, right? So it was buy 2 get 1 free kind of thing. So I was like, let's just buy 3 of them, and maybe one of them will be Spider-Man. Anyway, she's like, "Dad, this is yours. Mom, this is yours. This is mine." She opens up hers. It's Captain America. She's like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my favorite. I'll take that one." I'm just like, Captain America is not my favorite. I don't really like him. And so then they opened up another one, and Kirsten opens it up. I don't remember who it was. Nobody important. Hello was like, "Where's Spider-Man?" So I'm like, "Here's the last one. Open it up." It was Groot. She knows Groot. Okay. She watches I Am Groot on Disney Plus, and she was like, "Groot," and I was like, "You got Groot. Yeah, you can keep that one." And they were like all Christmas themed, so like he had like Christmas lights all over him and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Groot was good enough.
That worked out.
That ended up working out.
Monster Pit. This was. Joe and I got to the con, we'll call it an hour before Paul, and so we're like, all right, let's pick something out. No pre-plans or at all, and I saw this box, and I'm like, this is going to be a banger. And I looked at the back of it, and I'm like, this is going to be a banger. And so I'm like, all right, Joe, we're playing this. So we get it, we go, and like, we're like, I'm setting board stuff up, right? If you ever play a game, you know where stuff can roughly go. And Joe's like opening the rolls, and he's like, "In Monster Pit, you're gonna work together." And I'm like, I'm not a big co-op guy, right? And so I'm like, I wanted a competitive game. But anyway, so it ended up being a co-op. It ended up being fun. Joe and I like smashed it completely, and so we were both like,
we played it wrong.
Yeah, we're like, did we do something wrong? Like, and then we thought back and we're like, I don't think we did. I think that was the game. I'm sure we played the basic scenario. I'm sure they get harder, but it was enough that both Joe and I were like, I'd play that again. I think it was fun. I also think it's probably significantly better at more people because, like,
it's not just you give me this, I give you this.
No, it's not that. It's you're going to sections of you're defending a castle, right? And you're going to sections of the castle, right? So the smithy or the temple or church or whatever. But every spot has 2 available spots to go to, right? Mm-hmm. On a 2-player game, we can both go there, right? And then we can both go here, and we can both fight the monster here. Whereas once you get more players, so 3 or 4, we both can't get it was a very logical first step. Like, oh, we need to
We're going together.
We need to go buy the people that let us roll more dice, right? Because you're trying to use dice. So like, I'm gonna go there, and we're getting these people to roll more dice, right? And then it's like, and I'm going to go get equipment. Because now we're stronger, right? Whereas if you had more people, it's like, well, only 2 of the 4 people. So now you have to go over to the stables. Like, Joe and I didn't use stables at all. And they had, like, cool-looking cards, but I was like, kind of didn't need them. And so I think just with more people, it'd be good. I think it probably is a good game. Just we didn't get, like, the best play to, like, showcase it. So...
Nestlings. This is a dice worker placement game, area majority game where you're just collecting resources, completing goals, and that's about it. Feeding your little birds. Yeah. Honestly, this was a lot more cutthroat than what we remember it being when we tried it out years ago on Tabletop Simulator. I've played this one solo quite a bit beforehand, but this was the actual first like 3-player version of the multiplayer game that I played with it. The cutthroat aspect of it was not something we enjoyed. So I think it kind of fell a little bit more flat than what we had expected. Yeah,
it just ended up being a big disappointment for me. This was a game that I can remember exactly how it played, and they have changed it significantly. We played it, obviously, in development, play tested it, and I really liked it back then. And then the things that they changed with how birds fed, with how the goal things, the collectible things work very differently now, and I just didn't really care for it, and yeah, that was it. So,
nestlings. Nidavellir. Something like that. This is Joe's bidding game for the con, and honestly, best bidding game I've ever played, I think.
I said the same thing. Joe loves bidding games. I hate bidding games. Hate. Like, strong passion. Do not like bidding games.
And that goes back to us not being super confrontational, right? It's like, oh, I'll bid 80. Okay, you can have it, right? Yeah, I was going to bid 70. Go ahead. I'm not going to bid 81 for you.
Earlier, Castles of Mad King Lugwood, right? Like, I don't like bidding games, right? Yeah. I didn't like that game. This was at least.
You weren't bidding against each other.
You still got something, right? That's the best. You still got something, and they were all of relatively equal value. One might have been more. I'm just going to say more better. That's not correct. Would have been better for you. But yeah, it was just, and it was quick.
It was a blind bid. You weren't having to actually negotiate, right? I guess that's kind of more of the part that I don't like about it. But you were also able to upgrade your bids to make them more powerful, and all of the scoring ways to score seemed viable. So it was a really fun one. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Joe did good. I think ultimately Joe picked the best games for the con by far.
Except for Galaxy Truckers.
That game sucked. Paint the Roses. Paul, I played this before.
I played this one before. Streamed it.
Watched this before.
With Co-op Guild, I was able to stream it.
Yeah, I am glad I played it because I can never have to play it again. That's how I felt about it. Not that it was bad, but it also wasn't like great. It was just fine. It was just a fine game, is the best way to put it.
I know I'm on a different level of deduction than you and Joe, and I don't remember. I think it was Joe's call that made us end it, but it was basically him and I, right? Like it was both of us. We weren't sure what was going on. Just the board state didn't give us a ton of information for what was out there. I think it's a good deduction game. I don't like being put in the position of my deduction is going to win us or lose us this game. When I play a deduction game, I want it to be like the Search for Planet X, where when I mess up, it only affects me.
Or like a cryptid so the difference is both those are competitive deduction, right? Yeah. So like if you're wrong, stinks for you.
Yeah. Not for you.
Yeah. Kind of thing, but yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I just didn't think it stood out or shone, or it was just a fine game. Path of Civilization. So when Nidavellir was the best
bidding game
I've ever played, this might have been the best Civilization game I have ever played, because it was quick and easy and simple, and didn't take too long, and that's what I liked about it. It was played over like 9 rounds, and you're building up 12 rounds, but you're starting with a man with fire. And you're ending with
the nuclear bomb,
the internet, or the nuclear bomb, or whatever. It was just you play cards, get some resources, trade in one of the cards for an upgrade type of thing.
I thought that was a really cool mechanic, where one half of the board is you get this side of the card, the other half of the board is you actually get the income to buy those upgrades or whatever. I thought that was done really cool. And then collecting the cubes to be able to buy your leaders, to be able to buy your wonders, or all the stuff that you have in Civilization games. And yeah, it packed a punch in a small amount of time.
And I think what we did the best, right? So where we talked about, what was the game we just talked? Oh, Macau, where we just like, we're not gonna look at the cards, and we're gonna get to it. Macau might have relatively like made the game better if we did that. Past Civilization, they were there, but we didn't like study and be like, oh, in this round I need to do this and this.
You need all these yellows.
Right. It's just we did it round to round, right? Okay, this round is war and you want this, and this round is whatever, the green stuff, and you want this.
And obviously, and like, if we had known that, like our games would have been better, but like we were all on the same
like,
level playing field.
It was fine that we weren't like analyzing. Okay, in 2 rounds I need to have just whatever. Just
play it as it goes.
Yeah, just
that's what that symbol means.
Go round to round and okay, that's what
I need to be at 5 on the war on my rage.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great Civilization game.
And what I liked, right? Talking about Civilization games, and a lot of them can have we'll call it the 4X exterminate aspect. This one, the war, it didn't
really matter.
It was just like, most least, and it wasn't like...
As long as you participated, you got 1 point.
Yeah, if you were the worst, like, it's all right, like... It's
tried.
That's not your path to points. You can get them some other way,
You'll
Tiger.
Get them from the faith track, the blue track.
But yeah, so Path of Civilization.
Planet Unknown. So we got to play this one a couple times this month. I think it's a terrific game. I think it's really fun. There's a lot that can be with it, with the asymmetric boards and the asymmetric, tracks on there. But basically, you just have these tiles. You are playing a tile, and then you are gathering the resources that are on both sides of those tiles. So you can get up the Civilization track, which just gives you cards. You can go up the rovers. You got to clear the meteors, the life pods, all those kind of things. I don't know. I think it plays quick enough. It played really well, I thought, at 6 players. I like the Lazy Susan, where you can decide like what you need, right? You get to decide what you need, and everybody else is just kind of stuck with it. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I think I'd have to look at times, but I would bet it plays the exact same amount of time at 6 players and 4 players and 2 players, and that's pretty cool about it. We played slightly wrong, but I actually don't think it like changed the game much, right? So we didn't realize that when you play a tile, it makes way more sense now, right? But when you play a tile, you're doing both sides of it.
Yeah.
We were picking one of the 2 sides, so looking back though, it makes sense. We were like, dude, you can like get up one of these tracks if you focus. Now we're like, okay,
you can definitely.
We're going to get up
tracks,
several of these tracks by the end, and so I'm excited to try it the other way. But yeah, I think it's neat, and I like that all 5 of them are really pretty simple and straightforward, so it's just kind of like, oh, I need some red so I can move, or I need 1 more blue so I can get an extra free bump, or what. Like, it's your choices are not massive. It's just, what you most often know. I'm looking for this color, right?
And like when we played it wrong, like we were just both like, you're never gonna not go up the red track, because like that's how you get your point. Like, you have to clear those meters. Now realizing that you get both of them, it's like that can always be like a secondary thing. Like, yes, go for the red ones, but like you're gonna have multiple opportunities to get the red. Tay, did you actually paint your washed minis? They sent him like a deluxe version of it, and the minis were washed. They just looked dirty. They looked so terrible. Like, it looked like they had just come out of the trash. So maybe you painted them. The rover.
To see it.
Yeah, it was like, ours are just white. His are like white with speckled dirt.
Oh,
is what it looks like.
They did the like like when you paint miniatures, the wash where they like soak the thing so it gets in the crevices and darken. It's supposed to like make the shadows so you can like see curvature of things.
It looked like it was picked out of a trash can.
So
terrible. Glad you got them painted. It was Porto.
It's Porto. So yeah, we played Puerto. So this is a good time to mention that I went into BGG and surprised Joe and Paul with having a theme for all of my games, because they always make fun of the fact that I don't care about theme, right? Talked about Lacrimosa, I don't. But I did have a theme this one. All of my games involved Portugal.
Every single one of them.
Every single game. So it was Lisboa, Macau, Madeira, Porto.
It was supposed to be Cafe, which they didn't have.
I thought something else. But anyway. But yeah, so this one was Portugal. It was just a really quick tile placement.
Throw Azul in there.
So I thought about it, and I actually was wanting to do the one we had played with the diamond pieces.
The summer one?
Yeah. I really did think about Azul, but couldn't do them all. But anyway, it's a little tile placement game where you're building up the column houses or buildings of Portugal, and you all have different victory point conditions that you're trying to make in this city, and we found out real quick that like you have very little control over it, because,
over what you are building, because everyone is building.
Everybody, but anyway, it was Porto. It was a fine game, and it filled up 20 minutes, and that's about it.
I thought it was really good, honestly. Like it would be a game that it was, I think, a perfect filler game. Like that would be a fifth Friday night filler, right? Like it's just easy to look at these cards. You're either drawing a card or paying cards and building that much of your building, and like we keep saying, it's Porto. That came it is a game. It is a Porto game.
It's Porto.
Praga.
It's not Porto, it's Praga.
I'll let you talk about this one.
So we played Evacuation that last Monday. Did we play Evacuation first?
Yes.
Yeah, we played Evacuation first, and
then we live streamed, then we played Praga.
Yeah, a little glimpse into the minds of Paul and Devin. We got a whole bunch of games from Rio Grande Games, a whole bunch of Vladimir Succi games.
6 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them.
Which is awesome. Thank you very much, Rio Grande Games. Yes. And so we're like, how are we going to do content for this? So we decided I'm going to learn half, Paul's going to learn half, we're going to teach each other. And so Evacuation was one I already knew. That was mine, and Paul had already played this, so we're like, okay, let's do these, and we'll play the rest later. So we played those back to back, and I thought Evacuation was a fantastic, great game. And then I played Praga, and I'm like, that game is...
This dude knows what he's doing.
That game is a complete banger. It was just it was a super tight Euro. That's what I liked so much about this game. It was so incredibly tight.
16 turns. Yeah, can't do everything.
You have to really crunch and math out, like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And it's fantastic. And the way the scoring works, I think, is completely fantastic. You have to specialize, but you have to also like
get a minor in something.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You do. Like, you have to specialize, but like if you just straight up specialize, you're actually going to score pretty poorly. So you have to know what you can blend,
what builds off
without
of that.
Being too much. Yeah, man, I can't say enough good things about this game. I thought it was so good. My one, I guess, if I had to like pick something that was like a negative, it would be, I think the 2-player is probably not as good as the 3 and 4. I think at 3 and 4, it's probably even better than what I got to experience, because there is a lot that there's a lot of potential out on the map, but at 2 players,
you can't do it all.
yeah, it's like literally impossible, and both players are not going to do the same thing, so therefore it makes those victory point paths not quite worth pursuing, right? So you'll do other things at the 2-player count, but at a 3 or 4-player count, there's now people are going to have to cross, and 2 people are working on this like city thing, and
Similar
so now
to
it's
like Kut Nora,
now
right?
it's
Like
building out, and so I think it's probably so good at 3 and 4. So my complaint is I didn't get to play it at 3 and 4. I only got to play it at the Boo Boo 2-player,
and it was still terrific.
and it was a terrific game there. So
yeah, I knew the first time that I played this one that this would be one that you would absolutely love, and you're absolutely right. I've played the 3-player and I think 4-player on BGA, and it's just so much more. There's more options in scoring.
The action selection would change more.
Changes
often,
way more.
right?
The
Like,
buildings actually get built out, so like those actual building points score quicker, better. Even the upgrade tiles, like for your actions, cycle a little bit more. It's just, it's a great game.
Yeah, completely fantastic. Rajas of the Ganges, the card game.
Cards and Karma.
Cards and Karma.
Rajas of the Ganges, one of my favorite games of all times. Absolutely love this game. We've heard Rajas Dice Charmer. Yeah, I think it's the Dice Charmers. We've heard that game is boo-boo. We've just heard it's terrible. We haven't gotten a chance to play it. We saw this one on our last day of the con. Let's give it a shot. This game was fantastic.
It was.
This game had all of the bits of Rajas that I enjoy in a condensed card version that played, I think, in 30 minutes. It had the randomness of the dice by flipping the card over. You knew that this card would have an orange die on the back of it. You'd flip it over. That was your value. You were able to get your fame. You were able to get your money. Like, you were able to do the set collection with the buildings. Just everything about Rajas in a card game. They distilled it down perfectly.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be very good, and then we played it, and I thought it was completely fantastic. It was kind of a similar thing to a lot of these games, but this is a game I would consider getting. A lot of times we leave cons, I don't actually hardly ever get a game that I played at a con. I've never thought that about Rajas of the Ganges, and I like Rajas of the Ganges, but I've never thought like, oh, that's one I would get and own. I would get this one because I think I would get it to the table 100 times more often than I would get Rajas of the Ganges, because it's so quick, and just like Paul said, it's literally it's all of that without the bloat. And I'm not saying Rajas is bad at all, but it's just like it is.
Yeah, there's none of the tile placement. There's none of the moving down the river.
Yeah, actually do the river
like,
type of thing.
I enjoy all those things of Rajas, but like,
yeah, I think this just did it. It
literally it distilled it. It got all of the good parts and squeezed it.
Yeah. And
made it like bare bones good.
Yeah, and it's surprising because I haven't even heard of this game until we saw it at least at me, Paul looks at game, but until we saw it sitting there on the shelf, I'd never heard of this, right? So
I think I heard of it once, and it honestly just like slipped my mind because Dice Charmers, I've heard, is just not the greatest. Yeah. Maybe we have to try Dice Charmers. I don't know. Like, maybe try it out. But this one, so good. Reef Project.
So one of Board and Dice's new releases, and as you can see from right behind Reef Project, I'm a pretty big Board and Dice fan. This one was, I'm going to say, a near miss for me. It was not quite 100% of a miss, but it's pretty dang close. I don't know. It just, I had fun playing it, but it runs into the problem of, so it's a map of islands, and I'm not going to say you have completely unlimited movement, but by about halfway through the game, you can pretty much move to any island you want, or at least 3/4 of them, which means you have to literally look through 15 islands and see, like, they have these symbols that are not eye-catchy by any means. It's very rough on the eyes. So you have to look and like literally like, oh, I could go there and do that. Oh no, wait, let me go to this one. Or oh, actually, I want to do that from this one, but you can do it at this island, and maybe I'll do that. And oh, but I also need to deploy one of these bombs, and so I want to end up over here and on this area of the map. And so where can I go? Oh, okay, that one. And then I have a card that is for this specific orange island. Let me look there. Oh no, that's not good. So you're right. And then you're doing that every single turn, right? That exact same thing. Oh, and then I have this card for this orange. Nope, still not good, right? Yeah. And yeah, it just I don't know. Didn't really grasp and be like, it just wasn't awesome. Let's put it that way.
It
was too much of that, and then I honestly think there was a lot of bloat in this game. The way that it had the diver track thing, that wasn't just one simple diver track. It was, you do this diver track to get the coral stuff, but then you have to do this action to do it. And then the research also had its track that
unlocked cards.
I understand the mechanic. I won't say that was a bad one, but just mixed with everything else, I don't know. And then you had the people to upgrade. We earlier mentioned age contrived, and that's the problem it had there. When you have too many paths to like upgrade or progress yourself, and they're all too much, there's minimal, too much. Then it's like, this is like it's not worth, like, just have one good one, or I don't know, something else. So yeah, I don't know. It just didn't. I'm glad I played it.
This one for me was just, I think I had real high expectations from it, being a board and dice game. I honestly, I really like the artwork on here. I think it looks great. I think it's really like eye-catching. I just think I had too high expectations, and
I think you did. And I'll be honest, I looked at this game from when they were talking about it in summer for, I think, Gen Con.
Yeah.
And I thought, that doesn't look very good, right from then,
yeah, and I don't know. It was just a big miss. I remember right after we played it, I said, I would like to play this again. I would like to play this again, but not with you, right? And, we've talked about it. You're going to analyze all the things, right? Like, I want to play this game with somebody that's just going to play, not look at all 15 spaces kind of thing, and just see how the game plays for that. Because not like you were taking your time, like you weren't AP'd or anything like that about it, but it's just like
I was, not mean this a bad way, but I was better at analyzing the board, and so and that's, I control. There was a heavy area majority aspect, and I literally dominated that area, all of it, right?
Yes,
from both you and Joe for the whole game.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things where it was like, I don't know if it's because I'm bad at the game that I didn't like it, or did I just not really enjoy the game? Like, either way, I didn't have a ton of fun, but I want to experience the game. Like, I felt like I didn't get to experience it. So
you didn't get lapped on the score.
Yeah.
Paul didn't get lapped.
Very close.
I think it was like, 50-point score.
It was a 50-point score track.
And I was like 2 spaces away from lapping him.
Yeah, it was close.
Yeah.
That was
But he didn't get lapped, and that's what I kept reminding him.
I did not get lapped.
Hey, you didn't get lapped.
Yep. And if it was on 100-point one, then I was way off from getting lapped.
Exactly. So yeah.
Hey, Shelby.
Reef Project. Salton Sea, talking about Shelby. Joe let me borrow this game, and he said to me, "You are going to absolutely love this game." Joe knows me very well, so anytime he's ever said that, I have almost always absolutely loved a game.
Yeah, he said that about Evacuation.
He's also said that I'm going to hate games, and he knows that as well. He will know that you are going to absolutely hate this game. Anyway, Paul and I were doing our list for top of 2024, and Joe was like very adamant that he was like, man, you're gonna love this game. And so I'm like, I need to play this because like I'm pretty confident it'll beat out a lot of the other ones that I have on the list. And it did. Fantastic game. I really enjoyed the way it has its money in this is also your actions. So like you have a hand of cards, you start with dollar value cards, right? And they're all dollar value and they're all cool actions. But to do those actions, you have to spend money. So to do this action here, I actually have to spend $3. And so now I'm left with $1 in one action and I don't get to do all these. And it's this awesome balance of making that work. When you earn money, you are not just taking raw money, you're actually reading the actions, because it's like, oh, I earned $8, so there's 5 3s and 1s. It's like I could take this 5 and this 3, or I could take this 5 and these 3 1 actions, right? It's the same amount of money, but like figuring that out. And then so every time it's like you're doing that, and then the next action you do is like, oh, I have to spend $6 and I just got these $8 worth of, so like, how do I do this? Okay, well, let me actually purge these and then I'll keep this. I thought it was so cool. That just to me was so awesome. You ended up doing so many basic actions, even though you had
all these cool ones.
Yeah. And I think I said to Paul, right, because Paul asked if he would like it, and I was like, man, I think it is, I do. I think it's a great game. Paul is the type, like, because we talked about Great Western Trail earlier, right? Paul wants to do everything when he's
I like stopping at every place on the
Great Western Trail, right? And I was like, I think Paul would have a real tough time having all these actions and like being able to like, you gotta just ignore the action. It's just a card that is paying off whatever.
It's like, but this one's so good.
Yeah,
this one's so good.
I think Paul would have a real hard time with that aspect and almost like gimp himself with, oh, I'm not gonna do that.
I'll do this eventually.
I'm not gonna do that cost me $4. I want these, like, you know.
Yeah. I definitely want to try it. I mean, just from like what you're saying, like how it has that Paladins feel of like you're affecting your board, but there is like a community.
Yeah, and so
section.
I completely forgot about that part. That was awesome too. You know, right? So your entire worker placement is solely on your board, right? So you're only blocking yourself, so you're getting to do everything you want. That's what I love so much about Paladins is every single turn I am doing. Or every single round, I'll say, I am doing the actions I actually want to be doing. Same goes with this, right? You can't ever block me from anything. But there's a lot of interaction with the 3 tracks, and then how that the economy is actually like a closed economy every round, and it resets every round. And so it's a really kind of a cool way that it does that. So anyway, Salt and Sea.
Search for Lost Species. This is the second installment of the Search For games. This one added just a couple more things, right? So it added, obviously you're looking for species instead of different planets and space objects. But you're on an island and you can have like this boat movement, which
changed the movement a little bit.
It changed the way that you do. It's not called research. Maybe it was research.
I don't think that was.
But it's like the store,
like village visits,
you go to the
whatever.
Visit, and it gives you like some, not rule breakers, but it gives you like some little abilities.
Small
that you can
power, we'll call it.
So it added enough to change this from the Search for Planet X, but not enough to make it like super complicated. I think both games are terrific. I actually really enjoyed Search for Lost Species. I don't know how, but all 3 of us completely screwed up on our deductions. And so it came down to, I think all of us searched and all of us were wrong.
Yeah.
And we were just like, well, we don't know what to do kind of thing. And we ended up figuring out what happened, but like, I think that was just a morning day of gaming kind of thing. Our brains aren't working.
The brains quite didn't.
But I think it was great, right? Like for me, the Search for Planet X is one of my favorite games. Absolutely love that game, and this is one that I don't think I need in the collection. But at D20 they have it, and I will definitely go play it. And
that's how
Kristen would like it.
That's absolutely how I feel about it.
I think if you own one, you own them all. This to me felt no different than Search for Planet X. It's just a different looking board, but it literally felt like that exact same game. And I love a Search for Planet X, so I love this. And honestly, I'd probably love a Search for UAPs, because honestly, if they take that same formula and just tweak it a little bit, that's fine, right? So you pick the one that you like the most, and it's like they're all. I think it's great. I think they're both great.
Real good deduction game. Sunflower Valley. This was right after Reef Project.
Okay.
And this was a card laying game. That's what it was, right? And
A drafting game.
Card drafting. That's right.
Yeah.
You're just putting flowers next to flowers and mountains next to water and collecting train tracks to other cities, and
it was not much to talk about. You had like a scoring condition on the sunflower cards, and one on the town cards, and one on the train tracks, and
Sunflower Valley.
You drafted the cards and tried to make the best scoring condition you could, and that was it. It was not bad.
It was not bad
at all. I'm not saying that. It's just nothing to really talk about.
This one was much better.
Surf Source Max. This game was fantastic. This game was so fantastic.
This game was much better. You can talk about it?
Yeah, so this might go down as like one, and I'm a card game player, one of my top just fast filler card games, hands down, right? It was just funny. You're making a cooperative, competitive poker
card,
and that's really it. So you're playing 4 cards around, and you look at all the cards that everybody played, and you make the best poker hand amongst all of those, and then whatever cards you contributed to that are worth points, right? And that was as simple as the game was. And it was just full of laughs, right? It was constantly this Paul plays a 4, and I'm all right, Paul, I'm on these 4s. Let's get these 4s out,
And then you play a 6 because Joe played a 5.
Yeah, and then Joe plays the 5, and Paul plays another 4, and I'm like, yeah, but I think that straight's so much better. Let's get that straight going, and that's what we were doing, and we were just laughing and having fun.
The theme is nothing. It's just silly. It's just a bunch of surfing dinosaur pictures,
I couldn't even have told you the theme. It
was just a silly little game, and honestly, it was. I am not a huge card player. This game was so fun. Like there was a time where I was playing poker quite a bit. This one was fun. I liked Surfosaurus Max.
Yeah.
Three Sisters. I actually ended up getting this game for my birthday for a while ago. It is in the same line of Fleet the Dice game, Motor City, and then the newest one, I forget what it is. But they're all just roll and write games that are pretty combo-tastic. And this one's really good. I really enjoyed this one. On your turn, you're doing 2 things. First thing that you do is you can either plant vegetables, so it's peas, pumpkins, and corn, or you can water your crops and have them all kind of grow up. There's also a shed where you are, getting your rule breakers or extra point modifiers. Then there's a couple different areas, and it's really good. I really enjoy it at multiplayer. Not a huge fan of the solo. We sort of talked about this already. It has the same Joan of Arc, the Orleans
roll and write,
where the AI is basically just taking sections away from you instead of like really doing anything else, or just crossing out spots. So kind of feels bad for them to cross out your highest point victory thing when you've been working on it. But I think the multiplayer game is really good. Plays very similar to Fleet the Dice game, and I think that's a terrific roll and write. This one's really good too. Trekking the World 2nd edition. I got to play this one a couple times. I still have not played it multiplayer, and I really want to, but this is just a very basic gateway game where you are going to be collecting itineraries, going to different encounters, and then picking up some tours. But basically you have your itinerary card, which tells you the movement that you have to take. So it's 1, 2, or 3 movement. You have to take all the movement. Right underneath that, there's a money value that you take, and then underneath that, there's souvenirs that you can pick up, just tokens, if you end in a specific area. So there's this nice little planning of, oh, if I go my 3 spaces, I'll end up here in Europe, and I'll get these tokens to go from there. If you're on the same location, you can take encounters, and then you can take not encounters, but yeah, you take the encounters, then you take the tours. So again, you're gonna do 3 things, possibly take some encounters, take some tours. Again, it's a very gateway game, very simple game, but it's fun. I would put it on the same kind of level as like a Ticket to Ride kind of thing. I would play it over a Ticket to Ride because it's faster than that. I want to try it multiplayer, but the solo is okay.
How young of a kid do you think can play it?
Play the mechanics, I would say 6, 7. Like, to actually, like, there's a little bit of strategy, planning out your movement, ending in the right places and stuff like that. I would say probably like 9-ish. But like moving around on the map and reading move 3, get this much money. If you end in this location, you can get a tour. Like that's
how kids learn games, right?
Exactly.
Like I played plenty of games when I was a kid that I'm
like,
just moving stuff, right?
Exactly. So. Yeah. So I mean, I could definitely. I would say maybe like 7, 6 to 7, somewhere in there. So.
Trio, man, Surf Source Max was a fantastic card game. This was a very fantastic card game as well. You were trying to find trios in people's hand, and it was hidden. It was memory.
Mm-hmm. So you have a deck of cards, and then
everybody
there's some cards
deck
in the middle also that are the community cards.
Yeah, and most of the time I don't care for memory games because my memory's bad. But this one was not like, I didn't have to remember Paul's entire hand. Basically, you can only ever know anybody's highest card and lowest card. That's all you can ever ask somebody, and you're trying to find a matching set of 3. Another props to Michael, who taught us Fromage. He actually taught us how to play this game properly because we were attempting to learn it as he showed up. And then so when he got done, he was like, or we were like, you want to play Fromage? Trio? He was like, yeah, sure, I'll play. And then he realized quickly that we didn't know what we were doing, so he quickly taught us. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. I thought this game was just fun. Let's just put it that way. It was really neat how, so ultimately you're trying to get the value 7. Mm-hmm. So if you get the set of 7 the set of 7s, you win the game. But you can also...
play the spicy version.
You can also get 7 value somehow, right? Whether that is the set of 1 and the set of 6 equaling 7 if you add them together. Or that might be the set of 9 and the set of 2, and that equals 7 because you subtract them. And so it became this very clever game of, I have, let's call it the 8, right? So I could win if I get the 1. And so you would watch the table is the best way to put it, or I think a better way to put it is like, if somebody had the 12, let's call it Michael had the 12, right? Well, I know that I don't really care, and maybe Joe had the set of 2s, right? I don't care about the set of 5 that's in the table because I can't win with the set of 5s, right? Mm-hmm. My only goal is that neither of those 2 get it, but I'm working on, I have the 6 and I'm trying to get the 1. And so there was really cool strategy that got built out of the game. And you found that those like the lower numbers were like so crucial because, right, the 1 works both ways. So if you have the 1 and the 6, you win, but if you have the 8 and the 1, you win. And so getting those things that were less than 7 could be very powerful and open up a lot of options. And man, I just loved this game. I thought it was so fantastic.
Yeah, I'm terrible at card games, so.
Yeah, Paul sucked at it.
I was terrible at it.
But that's okay. All we needed to know was what Paul's highest and what
Paul, what's your highest? Paul, what's your lowest?
Yeah, what Paul's lowest was. And then me, Joe, and Michael got to play.
Well, yeah, I didn't understand the game, and I had like triple 8s, and you can ask yourself, what's your highest and what's your lowest? And yeah, anyway, I didn't understand it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Watch.
This was another Halloween game.
Halloween. So Paul and I have gotten to play this at 2-player. That was good. I got to play this solo here recently. That was not very good. We had said before when we played it at 2-player, I bet this game is better at more player counts. I thought it was. I thought it was very good at 4.
Yeah.
The whole board's open, but the way the turn mechanic works where...
I think Lacey won this, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
I know she did. That's... it's a clock, right, or a watch, and you're playing, let's call it the quarters, right? So the timer moves between the quarters, and it changes up the way that the turn order works, and that's the most clever part of the game, right? So like planning where you're going to go in relation to where does that actually put you, going early, late in the round, or midway, but I get to be the first to decide to move. There's just a lot of cleverness to it, and then there's riskier actions versus safe actions, and balancing that. When is it okay to do the risky actions? I thought this game was great.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I think it's a fun game. I definitely do think that the higher player count was better than the lower player count. So we just need to play it more often.
Yeah,
that's really the thing, because there is scoring in it is.
Yeah, so scoring is like a
slightly
create
different.
your own score, or your own scoring condition, but it's an area control thing, so there's like a lot of vying for the better spots.
Positioning.
Yeah, I think you ended up getting crushed because you had the weak position for several different ones.
Several of them, yeah.
So yeah, that was Watch. Windmill Valley. I can start talking about this. So this is a game that has been pretty hyped. People love this cover, right? It's a bright, beautiful cover, and I think that's what got Paul into it, right?
That's right. Danny Garcia, he likes those bright colors. Barcelona, Windmill Valley.
Yeah.
Arborea, which is a throw up of colors.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not bright, beautiful colors by any means, but
there's bright colors.
Yeah, so Windmill Valley is, so I don't know Danny Garcia, I've never heard this said, but this dude is obviously influenced by Tzolk'in, right? So Arborea is the true like Tzolk'in mechanic. This is like a Tzolk'in look like, right? It's not really the Tzolk'in mechanic, but it is the look-alike, you know, it's the gears and the way they operate, and so yeah, you're just moving about gears. It's an action selection game with rotating gears, and you make them more powerful, and you're getting a point salad of things by putting out windmills or planting tulips or getting points by bumping up water and then lowering it as well, or shipping off goods. It was fine, and that's the best way I'm gonna put it. I have watched several playthroughs of this, and our play was the same as all the playthroughs I saw. I think this has a very bad runaway leader mechanic. I've seen it in literally every single playthrough I've watched of 3. I played out our way, where the person that is advancing the wheel the most they get the big benefits when their wheel crosses, plus they're racing the time and everybody else is just playing catch up from there. We talked about, this was the one I was thinking of. Paul likes to do the Great Western Trail approach of getting to do everything. This game isn't actually that.
Cannot do that.
If you are playing to win this game, you are playing to specialize in one or two aspects of the game. You are getting maybe 3 wheel pieces upgrades, and you are spinning as fast as you can, that the game lets you, to get to do those, and that's the game. And Joe crushed us, right? Joe he's a big proponent of getting games over with. That's the best way,
funny.
That's the best way to put it.
Exactly what it is.
And so he is not going to slow down to take his time for anything, and he did exactly that. He put out about 3 wheel pieces, and he just went to those pieces over and over. They were his powerful pieces, took no minimal actions, and raced the game through and completely trounced us.
Yeah, this was probably biggest disappointment of the con. Again, another one that we were just very, very excited for. And you hit it right there on the head. When I play games, I like to explore games. I like to do everything. I like to try to do as much as possible. I've said it before, like my Terraforming Mars games, we put off Terraforming Mars because we like making all the combos. And in this one, I want to hit every wheel piece. And as soon as like Joe took his first 2 turns where he moved it 6 things, right, it's just like, oh, now I feel rushed. Now I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just scramble to try to do something to try to keep up. And then it was exactly what you said. It was just a game of catch up. And he was hitting every single bonus, right? So he was getting money plus something else. He was getting this plus something else. And it was like, he is so far ahead of us now that it's just not, there's no coming back from it, right? So,
and so I agree that, like, it's an interesting thing. It is probably going to be a more, we'll call it, enjoyable play for the play of the game, but it's not actually the, like, play to win way of the game, right? So, like, you know, you
this is exactly what we talked about.
Right?
Like, I had said that.
If you wanted to play with Kirsten and you guys would take your time and do everything, you'd probably enjoy that play of the game.
You enjoy your time playing the game.
But if you're ever like playing to win the game, or you know, playing the game, you can't do that. Like, the person that specializes will be the one that wins the game, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's just like, yeah, it's exactly what you said, right? Like, when we talk about games, we talk about them. You are always, I am going to win this game. This is what I need to do to win it. That's how you play the game. That's how, and in reality, yes, that's what games are. If you're going into it more as a activity to do with somebody, let me spend some time with you, then yeah, you're probably going to have fun exploring it out. But that's not how you win the game, right? So,
so
I
for
don't know.
me, and so for me, that's like, do I need to play this more, right? Because there wasn't enough in it for me to want to like do that, like to go specialize in the market and just do the market for 45 minutes, or you know, you would do other things, but you know what I mean. There's not enough in it for that. And that's how I want to play a game, right? Like I do enjoy the getting to see different aspects, but like ultimately I want to try and win the game. And I don't know. So for me, I wouldn't probably ever.
And the thing that like kind of stinks about it is like, it kind of took that wonder out of it for me. I was like, oh, this is how you play it. There's no reason to play it the other way, kind of thing. It's like, the only person that I could ever enjoy, I could only ever do that solo, or with somebody that's going in with the same mindset of you of, hey, let's take this one easy.
Take our time,
right?
develop out all 4 of our rows, and
then it's time to go. Like, but you're absolutely right. Like, you're not going to have that conversation with somebody ahead of time. It's like, hey, let's let's not rush it. Let's,
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of took some of that wonder, mystique out of the game kind of thing. It's like, oh, this is how you win it. That's how you got to play it.
Yeah. I think this is a game that nobody's talking about in 2 years. That's just what I put. I think it's got...
Hot take. Clip it.
Yeah. Gotta... Because it's, Danny Garcia has knocked out of the park with his last couple games, right? And I think the Tashi is, or however you call it, is doing very well. I think that it was hyped because of that. Board and Dice typically put out some pretty good games, and look at it, right? That has a lot to do with it as well. And I think it's just super hyped right now. And in 2 years, nobody is talking about Win No Value. So that's my take.
Clip it.
Zing Wow.
You soloed this one.
I did solo this one. I had a blast soloing this one. This was a good game. I really like this game. I think it's done so well. I think I trounced the AI from what I remember, and so I'm going to have to figure out something if I'm going to play solo to
make it harder.
Yeah, make it a challenge of some sort. I think oh, no, that was it. Yeah, I even played with there's 4 difficulties of the AI, and I played on the 3rd hardest, right? So I'm just going to have to do the next one.
Does this one actually like play like a player? Like, does it actually do stuff to change the board in a meaningful way, or is it more of like the Ezra where it's just collecting points?
No, it's going to steal stuff from you quite a bit. So it has it has a list of priorities on its card, right? So depending on which AI you pick is what card set you're going to use. And let's say it's going to put out a governor, right? It's ultimately going to try and score that, what's it called, the statues, the terracotta warriors. It's going to try and score those conditions, and it's going to have a priority. So it's going to have the 5 regions, and it's going to say, does this one need a governor? Basically, if yes, have I already met the condition? If no, I'm putting a governor there. Otherwise, going to the next one. And so it will snipe a lot of those terracotta good spots from you. So part of the game then becomes, it's slightly different than in the multiplayer, right? I can be like, oh, I'm going to be able to be the one to get the governor here and get the top spot there, right? You can read the board state there. Because they're not paying cost and it can be pseudo-random, that priority will always be the same. So you can know that, in Chew, that's their last priority. So as long as I don't just neglect it, I can win that.
I can take that.
I can win that probably later in the game. Let me focus on this one that's 3rd for them now to see if I can get that before them.
That's pretty cool.
And so it does it well. And the palaces work the same way. The thing that they take, and every time I played solo, it's been this way, and I don't ever have any control, is you have those wall cards at the top that are your like end of game scoring conditions. Man, they snipe those like crazy, right? Because it takes a lot to do those for the and it can be like turn 1, they're like, oh, the most expensive one, right? And it's like, all right, that's gone. So the nice part is you can like kind of be like, all right, well, I'm not going to focus on tucking green cards because they're only going to be worth 1 point. So you do have like that part of it, but it's like
that's so funny.
Those I get the leftovers.
Those are yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So
that's a fun game. That's another one that we need to play again. I think for sure.
Yeah, I think it's very good. That's probably one.
I think that was like one of your biggest surprises, I think, of like games.
Yeah, I never heard of the game before, to be honest with you. And it was great. I think this was last year. Did this come out? Yeah.
This was, I want to say number 5, maybe number something like that. I don't remember. It definitely made your list.
Yeah, I still think it's a very good game. So that was it. That was 52 games. So
52 games. Thanks to all the people that stuck around. Yeah. That's a long one for us.
It was. So this month, I know for me will be less. I don't know about for you, but
for me will definitely be less.
I will not be playing anywhere close to. I'll probably play a couple things like Lord of the Rings or
family stuff.
yeah, the family weight games.
I'll be doing a lot of solo this month. Kirsten's got a lot of work. I've got time off of work.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right.
I'll be doing a lot of solo stuff.
I will not.
Yeah.
So Paul will carry the weight on the solo gaming.
Ken, that was a lot of games.
It was. So yeah, next month probably be half. We'll have 26
26?
games.
That sounds about right. I think we're generally around in there somewhere. So. That's all
it.
that we have.
Talking about this month here, though, let's see here. So we have our little calendar of the month.
Yes.
So I just played Shipwrights. That was fine. Playing Carnegie. Looking forward to that one quite a bit. I'm looking forward to that and Fields of Arle.
Look at that. You stacked up your month good.
Both those gonna be super long streams. Being for the long haul. Carnegie probably 2.5 hours. Fields of Arle probably 3.5. So be in for the long haul on those. And yes, you
Ken,
are
yes.
absolutely right. Paul's doing BGA this coming Monday.
Yep, this coming
Come
Monday,
watch
I'm doing my
him,
BGA
talk
monthly.
about BGA games.
I will say, since I had so many in-person games this month, not as many BGA games. Not as many new ones, I don't think. Possibly, I don't remember. I have to look at all my stats and stuff like that. But yeah, then we will be doing some live playthrough next week. I don't know what. We haven't talked about it. Haven't decided. Champions of Midgard. I think that was
right.
it. Yep, Champions of Midgard.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
That's very exciting.
So, gotta get that out.
Yeah.
The week after that, you're doing Fields of Arle. On the 20th, we're not sure what we're doing yet. We might be streaming together. I might be doing a solo.
Yeah.
Devin might be doing a solo.
It'll be at Paul's house, regardless
Yeah.
of whether it is, whether I am there or not.
Yep. So doing something there.
We'll figure something out there. Paul will do a new in the collection, which he will say he has no games, and then by the 23rd, he'll have 10,000 games.
I just got a gigantic package earlier this week.
Look at that. So,
Yeah.
of course, we're not going to do anything on Christmas, and then we will be back on the 27th. So.
Yes, live playthrough. So Ken, 2000 celebration. Hoping to do that sometime in January.
Yep.
I
So
think.
January we. Oh look! What am I doing?
Look at that.
I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm doing the wrong things.
So we'll be doing that sometime in January. January, we'll do some super long stream. Last time we did a 6-hour stream. I don't know, maybe we'll do longer, maybe 6 hours. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We need to talk about it. And then we do have some news about something that we'll be launching in January.
Yeah, so we do want to do some sort of shelf video, but a part of that, and Ken, you watch a lot of our stuff, but all of you, Dennis, everybody that's still around, tell me if you think it's a good idea, because I want to do it for me personally, and if it's worth you guys seeing along my journey, cool. But you guys have seen I have bought a lot of hauls of games, so I play through games at a regular rate.
All the games that you guys see, we've pretty much played.
Yeah, everything you see, but we have, right, so we got these 3 shelves, and I think there's 5 more. You don't see those. And there's a lot of games that I have not played on there, and so my backlog of games is like growing and growing and growing. So I want to challenge myself in 2025 to knock out, I haven't decided exactly what, but a portion of my backlog. I'll figure it out between now and January. And so I'm going to do a video probably release it pretty early January, where it'll kind of go through shelves, not totally, but I'll show you some of my backlog of games, and I'm going to try and hit whatever. I don't know exactly how many I have, but I'm going to say I probably have 120 games I have not played. Would be a safe guess. So maybe it's like 50 of them to play by 2025, and then I'll put out a video in January of kind of the ones I got, and then update it a couple times throughout the year to see where I'm at, what I've gotten to play, and then hopefully I hit it in a big celebration video, maybe celebration live stream for the last game that I'm knocking out.
That's
Who
a good
knows?
idea.
But something like that. So anyway, that's my idea. I'm tinkering around, don't have all the fine details of it yet, but if you guys think that'd be cool, let me know. If if you are watching this after the fact, drop it in the comments. Tell me, call out one of these games that you see, like right here, Ten Garden. Haven't played that. Should I play Ten Garden?
I think that is probably the only one that
pick some ones out there, that you see, and maybe I'll play them. But anyway, so that's what I'm thinking, coming at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and we'll still do a shelf video where we go through our games and maybe in the very near future.
Yeah, and then, I think Dennis and Ken, I talked to you guys both. So at the beginning of the year, Lacey is still pretty much, I will do it, Dennis. But Lacey is pretty much on board with us doing some sort of campaign stream together. We don't know exactly what it's going to be. We want to do Clank Legacy, but we do not have that, and it's not quite out. And if I had to guess, we probably won't have access to it to March, April. So we have the options of something like Pandemic Legacy Season 2. I don't know. We'll figure that out, but I think we're going to do something monthly. Lacey's obviously not going to stream once a week. It's going to be, it's bold of her to just, yeah, exactly. It's bold of her to just get on camera.
On camera, yeah.
But this was her idea. She wanted to do something together on stream like this, I'll tell you her first crazier thought. She wanted to stream our family game night.
Oh, no.
Because of the chaos it is. Because it is literally chaos, right? She sits here, I sit there. Luna is in a stool chair that's here. And, right, we're like anytime dice are being rolled, like we're rolling our dice, and she's like just trying to grab dice and roll them. She's like moving. It is like, and then Luke's like on the table, but over there. I mean, he's in a chair, so he doesn't do anything but, yell out. But Lacey was like, we should stream this. It would be hilarious, And I'm like, no, it would. I'm like, the stream would be 3 minutes long.
Me not looking at chat once or anything.
Of like, us being like, Luna, it's exactly what we do. We're like, all right, and she's good at like, she can wait turns, and so she'll sit there and wait for us to do stuff, and she's like, roll dice. That's what she says, roll dice. Like she's ready for the roll dice phase, or, we play cacao, and she's got to have her stack of tiles, and like, so we put one out, and she's like setting something out, and when she looks away, I have to move it from the thing. But, like, that was
that one.
Anyway.
I was gonna say, honestly, what you're saying, this needs to be like, you guys just put a camera up and
we
record.
Probably should just record it.
Put a camera up and record it.
Yeah, because
that's a very easy.
But
edit.
yeah, that was what Lacey. She was like, we need to do it, and I'm like, you're nuts. So maybe we'll record one. It's always like set up, so I could just turn it on.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a good idea.
The thing, and you know what? I should do it. We play weekly, right? I should just do it weekly and then like chop up something of all the funny parts of Luna doing something, or the amount of times where we are playing something that like we're like, okay, it's Luna's turn, and she like gets up and runs and does something and then comes back, or it's craziness. The fun's of a 2-year-old. But yeah. So anyway, we're not streaming that regularly, but we are gonna do some sort of campaign type of game. So
yeah, and I've been kind of talking about possibly starting to do that as well.
More streaming, right?
Yep. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my nights are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Those are my solo nights, and if I got a camera, I just got to turn it on. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see what we're doing. So, but yeah, we've got a couple big things coming up, and
so hopefully, starting next year, the calendar is filled monthly.
You could help reset each turn. Luna placed that one in the left corner.
You're right. You are so right about that.
Yeah. So. That's what you just got to type in the chat. Left corner.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Okay, that's
Denise,
all we got.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate you being
yes, thank you so much, Dennis. I'm glad we got to do something for your family.
Yeah, and truthfully, blame your wife and daughter. It's their fault. But anyway, we appreciate everybody that stuck it out, listened to us ramble for 3 hours about board games. We do enjoy this and enjoy doing it for y'all for sure. And we want to keep doing it for y'all and hopefully keep making more stuff stuff for y'all. So, and like I always say, if you're watching this after the fact, give us a shout out in the comments. Tell us, hey, I like y'all. Make us feel good.
Hey, I don't like y'all.
But yeah, we will catch y'all later. You guys have a good night and tune in Monday for Paul's.
Yep.
Catch y'all later.
BGA.